Is it?
Andy.
Yeah.
Andy was here. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Greg.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Right.
you. What you got for me? Not here today.
John's calling.
He is.
He's not here.
He is.
Absent.
He is in Puerto Rico on business.
Like, sir?
Hey, Ray, go ahead and give it to Dina to put in a packet for him. Go ahead and give it to Dina to put in a packet for him.
I remember
Okay,
to
perfect.
charge
Thank
my
you.
iPad.
So this would be Scott's.
Okay.
All right, you.
Hey, are you going to the PIO or that PIO meeting?
That's a good sign.
Is it going to be you? Are you going at the end of the month, end of
sir?
June, 1st of July?
He's not here.
Thank you, everyone. Have a seat. Sorry,
Out of-
drop the gavel. Oopsie.
That was the only one I could get into. Okay.
Okay. He said to speak up because I speak softly. Can y'all hear me? Not too softly. Okay. So it's Tuesday, January 13th at 6 p.m. I want to call to order and call the meeting to order. Dina, do we have a quorum?
Yes, ma'am, you do.
Okay. So now I would like to call forward our pastor, Michael Benebu. Say it right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this evening. God, thank you for your sovereignty over this place and these people. Lord, thank you for our leaders that watch over this city. God, we thank you for the way that you are moving here. Lord, we pray for your guidance and your direction in the conversations and the decisions that are made tonight. We pray all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
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 I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to ask everyone on the dais to put their phones up so we can engage together. I've got two right there, so y'all might have two also.
Is that mine?
Thank y'all very much.
Sure.
I know. Whose phone is whose?
I guess it's mine. Oh.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mine are in my bag turned off.
All right. Okay, so Happy New Year. As we begin a new year, I want to start by sharing my goals for 2026. I am looking forward to hiring an experienced city manager capable of bringing a fresh new approach on city business and getting us back on the right track. I am proud of the work our Home Rule Commission has done, and I'm looking forward to the passage of our charter focused on a citizen-led government. I am hoping that in the new year, we can all move forward together in a more positive, productive, and respectful manner. The past year included moments of division and tension, and I strongly believe that our residents expect and deserve better from all of us. This new year, let's turn the page and move forward with professionalism, mutual respect, and a renewed commitment to work collaboratively as a council in service to the citizens of Willow Park. Moving forward constructively does not mean avoiding difficult issues. My hope is that we, with these expectations clearly stated, we can move forward together in a more positive, productive, and respectful manner in the year ahead. Thank you. Next, we have public comments. So first, we will have Scott Karen. You're on public comments is where we are. You have public comments, and then you have agenda item 10.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want public comments?
Just 10 minutes.
You want to just do 10?
And then I'll do the public comments on this last.
Okay, we're not doing 10 yet.
Right, but I'll wait.
So you want to do comments now? Public comments. Yes, you're up.
Thank you. I'm just trying to make sure we're all kind of on the same page for the streets. It's my understanding that the last election was primarily driven by streets and the conditions, and that there were some indications that the previous management, mayor, weren't listening or weren't responding to the city. And there were the running part of it was it became kind of pitchforks and torches, like we're going to be disruptive change agents to get this done. Everybody wins, everybody gets in, streets are the thing. One of the streets that was key to that, pivotal, was Squaw Creek. So it's my understanding now that since the city's moving forward with Squaw Creek, that there's a petition being circulated to put it on a city ballot coming up. And I just need to know from somebody, I don't care if whoever it is that can tell me this, how much money have we spent so far? I know we haven't stuck a shovel in the ground, but how much money have we spent to get here? Because we're a couple of years into this already. How much money just in studies, surveying, water assessment, about? Can somebody give me that number? If 50, 100, 200,000?
I don't think that's what we answer here, do we?
Okay, so we spent money
No,
though.
I mean,
don't
this
do
is
that.
not a question answer.
Right, we don't do that.
Okay, so we spent money on it though.
You can make your comments, that's it.
But okay.
Yes.
My question is, if we have moved forward with that, I'm assuming that there's a bond and we've signed some sort of bond obligation with that. Is that right? So if we've signed a bond obligation, are there penalties, or is there something that happens to us if we hit the 2, 3, whatever the number of ballots? Are there penalties associated with that going to a vote? If that is pushed forward, are there penalties or any financial considerations or anything that we get hurt by as citizens?
You
Somebody
can
answer?
make comments. No, I don't
Okay.
think anybody answers that here.
Okay, I need to know somewhere if that's, who do I talk to about that then, if that's the case?
You can put in a request.
Sure, I mean, she can talk to any city staff, could answer those questions probably.
Okay,
Right.
but I
A
would like to
separate
know,
venue.
I would like to know if it goes on the ballot, if they're successful in getting Squaw Creek put on the ballot, I'd like to know what happens if they vote to pass it and say yes. What's the timeline and what's that look like? And if they vote no, what happens, what's the consequences of that, and what happens moving forward with that?
Okay, you can ask staff at another time.
Okay,
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have, still in public comments, Kay Green.
Mayor and council, it's good to see y'all tonight. I want to bring attention to an item on tonight's agenda that caught my eye. Interim City Manager Tony Fisher posted comments in appreciation of Councilman Contreras and P&Z Commissioner Chandler for food provided at an employee Christmas potluck dinner. I later learned that our current mayor, duly elected by the way, was not invited to what appears to have been a private party held in a public building. Yet Doyle Moss, not duly elected, was in attendance. I guess technically Mayor Palmer is an employee who, even though is our mayor, gets no vote on city issues unless to break a tie. But Mr. Moss is nothing more than a private citizen. Excluding our duly elected Mayor Palmer from any event held in City Hall is an affront to the citizens of this community. I would ask that you stop excluding our mayor. This poor decision by top staff, just a second, I lost my, sent a clear message to all the staff that it is okay to disrespect our duly elected Mayor Palmer. Perhaps Mr. Moss wasn't comfortable being in the presence of our mayor, so maybe a private residence should have been used. The City Hall belongs to the taxpayers, in case you've all forgotten that. We talk here at these meetings about voter apathy, and I believe these childish antics add to that. Thank you.
Okay, next, we're still in public comments. We have Jeanette Kerbin.
Madam Mayor and honorable council members and Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for letting me speak tonight. There are people right now as I stand here that are being killed for speaking out in this world, and I honor the fact that here in America we do have freedom. So thank you again.
Can you speak up louder?
I wanted to talk about the ethics code discussion in a real practical way, because this really isn't complicated. This isn't about accusing anyone up here about doing something wrong, and it's not about politics. And it's definitely not about growing government. An ethics code is just a set of written expectations for how city business should be handled. That's it, plain and simple. In a small town like ours, we all know each other. We go to the same churches, the same ball games, the same grocery stores. That closeness is one of our strengths, but it also means people can easily wonder whether decisions are being made fairly and if personal relationships are involved. An ethics code helps answer those questions before they turn into hard feelings or rumors. It protects the public by making sure decisions are made for the whole town, not just for people with connections. And just as important, it protects council members and city staff. When expectations are written down, nobody has to guess. If someone raises a concern, officials can simply say, here's the policy, and here's how we followed it. I've heard some folks say, this feels like big government. I'd argue it's actually the opposite. An ethics code doesn't control residents, it limits government. It sets boundaries on the people in power, not on the citizens. No new taxes, no new rules for the public, just clear standards for those who choose to serve. Another concern I've heard is, who's watching the ethics committee? That's a fair question. But ethics committees don't run the city. They don't fire people or overturn elections. Their role is usually very limited. They review concerns, follow a process, and make recommendations. And just like everything else in city government, they're subject to open meetings and public records laws. Honestly, without an ethics code, complaints get personal fast. They end up on social media, we've all seen that, or people stop trusting the process altogether, and we're seeing that right now. With an ethics code, concerns go through a clear, fair system. That's better for the city and for the people serving it. A lot of Texas towns, both smaller than ours and larger than ours, already have ethics policies. They're not doing it because something went wrong. They're doing it because they want to keep things from going wrong. At the end of the day, adopting an ethics code sends a simple message. We care about doing things the right way. We're willing to be held to clear standards, and we respect the trust the public has placed in us. Strong leadership doesn't shy away from clear rules. Strong leadership welcomes them. I hope the council will move forward with an ethics code, not because we have to, but because it's the right thing to do for this community. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to be moving on to consent agenda, items 2, 3, and 4.
I was on the list of public comments.
Do not see you on the list. Hold on, let me check. You're on public hearing. Public hearing is separate. You want to be on public hearing?
No.
You don't want to be on public hearing. We've shifted you several times before, so I'm not quite sure where you want to be.
Public comments, that's what I was trying to do.
Okay, so
Public comments.
you can come as a public comments, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening, Carol Wagner, 328 Fairway Drive. Over the past 8 years, there has been significant progress in the city of Willow Park. Some examples include a water agreement with the city of Fort Worth that brought us desperately needed water, new concrete roads and refurbished roads such as Ranch House, Crown, Sam Bass, Kingsgate, and some side streets, a higher capacity wastewater treatment facility, Cross Timbers Park and Kingsgate Park. In an action considered rare by cities, the city tax rate was reduced by over 26% in 2023 due to the Parker County ESD1 assuming the duties of the Willow Park Fire Department. The shops of Willow Park and the district north of I-20 and commercial expansion south of I-20, bringing amenities and tax revenue to the city. New home construction, our new and expanded city hall. It's good to remember and be thankful for the positive things that have happened in Willow Park. Congratulations and thank you to the 2017 through 2025 City Council, the former city manager, and all the employees of the city of Willow Park. Was everyone pleased with what was accomplished and how it was done? No, and I understand. I empathize with dissatisfied citizens. I wanted to keep the Willow Park Fire Department, but understood why the change was done and was happy to get the tax reduction afterwards. Overall, I'm very pleased with what has happened in the city in the past 8 years. The City Council took decisive action to advance projects and make up for decades of inaction. I am one of about 9,000 Willow Park citizens reasonably informed about city issues as my time allows. Personally, I like things such as the 8 projects I just mentioned. I do not like acrimony that I have witnessed in the last several months, and I do not want to see progress slow down or come to a halt. Making the change from a general law city to a home rule charter is a big deal, and I have taken it very seriously. I'm generally in favor of it and see the benefits it offers, but I continue to have concerns about some provisions in it. This new constitution for our city will have an impact on generations to come, and we need to get it right for all citizens. A home rule charter will add greater citizen involvement and direct participation in city government. However, I want the city council, the city manager, and the city employees to be able to do their jobs, to conduct city business and not be hampered by excessive citizen involvement. The city of Willow Park has much left to do. Water supply has been and will remain the #1 priority for the city. Street replacement, repair and maintenance, and replacing aging infrastructure such as water lines is also very much needed. I encourage citizens to go to the city website and find the Willow Park Pavement Management Report. You can also view the September 23rd, 2025 City Council meeting on video. In October of 2024, the City Council approved a contract with IMF Infrastructure Management Services to conduct a pavement condition survey and assessment of 66 miles of city streets. The assessment was done in January 2025, and a report by IMF was generated in May of 2025. Each street was scored 0 to 100, with 0 being a completely failed pavement and 100 representing a pavement in perfect condition. The average roadway score in Willow Park is 68. City engineer Gretchen Vasquez and Public Works Director Chase McBride presented the results to the City Council on September 23rd, 2025. They concluded their presentation by stating that at some future date, the City Council would need to determine what pavement score is appropriate for Willow Park and determine the appropriate funding. The current annual budget for road maintenance is $155,000 per year. To maintain a score of 68, the city would need to allocate $1.96 million annually to fund pavement maintenance. Road maintenance is woefully underfunded and under-budgeted. Has the City Council held any discussions or taken any action since September 2025 report that was presented to them? I might have missed it, but I don't remember seeing anything about it. Difficult and probably unpopular decisions need to be made. This right here is an example of projects that need the City Council's full attention, because without properly funded maintenance, roads will continue to deteriorate and repairs will be more expensive. Some roads will be past the point of repairs and will need to be completely redone. The IMF report states, quote, "Maintaining a pavement network in good condition is more cost-effective than restoring conditions after deterioration," unquote. And by the way, the use of initiative, referendum, recall, and the creation of an ethics board will not fill a single pothole, maintain an existing road, or construct a new road. It is possible they might make a solution more difficult to achieve and lengthen the time required. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now, moving on to the consent agenda. Item 2, 3, and 4.
Can I speak of the opening comments here, please?
Yes, sir, you can. Come on up.
My name is Houston Wingard. I live at 709 Kings Gate. And thank you for having us tonight. I see on tonight's agenda, item 18, that you're going to review resumes and select 5 applicants for interview for the hiring of a new city manager. We citizens voted by a margin of 2-1 for a change 8 months ago when we elected our new mayor. It seems to me that over the past 7 months, there have been a lot of animosity among the city council and city hall directed at our mayor. These issues need to be put aside, and the road to better relations for the betterment of city of Willow Park should be a priority. One action towards that goal is the hiring of a new city manager. Going forward, the focus should be on how do we do what is best for the citizens of Willow Park. We should hire a city manager that, one, has a proven track record and a minimum of 5 years' experience at being a city manager. 2, work in a city in the DFW and surrounding area or similar metropolitan areas that is similar with the growth and challenges that are coming to Willow Park. And 3, has an appropriate degree in city management. Your choice for a new city manager will show if your commitment is to the citizens to have a voice, or if we want to continue where the citizens are given no voice, much like no bond elections over the past 9 years, the purchase of a new city hall, or the fixing of roads up here in the Kingsgate area, which I absolutely appreciate living on Kingsgate, to help developers and allowing the worst roads that are shown in the capital improvement plan to continue in disrepair. A few years ago, when they clear-cut the 82 acres known as clearing, I went to City Hall to voice my concern and understand exactly what was going on. The city staff and city manager told me that this is big business and that as a citizen, I shouldn't concern me. Basically, go home, sit down, and shut up. Those are my terms. I'm hoping that the hiring of a new city manager isn't another go home, sit down, and shut up. Please, I implore you to embrace what was started last May and hire a new city manager who will help this city grow in ways we can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the third time's a charm. Here we go. So, items 2, 3, and 4. We were set up and ready for November 17th, December 9th, and 16th. Received an email before the meeting that we need to make some changes to those minutes, and so Dina
Yes.
agreed that she's pulling all three of those. We're going to
Yes.
pull those and move on from there.
I apologize. That was some technical issues between my home computer and my work desk in here and the situation that I've been dealing with, so I apologize. They will be correct on the next meeting.
We appreciate
agenda.
it. Thank you, Dina. Okay, now we're moving on. Okay, for item 5, we have our first of 2 public hearings. This item is to consider an ordinance of the City of Willow Park, Texas, amending the City of Willow Park Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14 Zoning, Article 16 Commissions, 14.16.003, Membership and Terms, 14.16004, Procedure, 14.16005, Duties and Powers, and 14.16.006, Staff support, providing for repeal, providing for savings and severability, providing for publication, and establishing an effective date. The time now is 6:26. This public hearing is now open. Do we have anyone that wants to speak on this public hearing? Marcy Galley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. Rules for thee, but not for me. A phrase understood to mean hypocrisy. What does hypocrisy have to do with amending the Planning and Zoning Commission membership and terms? Well, the council sees fit to have its own alternates. But now it's time to remove planning and zoning alternates. This section of code was originally adopted in 2014, and most recently it was amended in 2022, not terribly long ago. At the August 12th council meeting, do you recall the discussion about having alternate mayor pro tem? Yes. Do you recall approving not only one pro tem, but 2 alternates? Because in your motion, you said that the most senior member of council will serve as pro tem in the absence of all of the others before him. That is precisely what you did, yet state law allows any member of council to fill in if the mayor or mayor pro tem are unavailable. I mean, you basically just kneecapped your 2 youngest members of council from serving in that role when you did that. Okay. The August 12th council meeting also highlighted the fact that the city was unaware that 2 vacancies existed for both alternates. That was an issue. The city staff chose to appoint Catherine Davis, who had just lost her bid for mayor. Did city staff reach out to Mayor Palmer to see who she might consider as good candidates for appointment? No. Even though our code specifically allowed the mayor to appoint alternates, I imagine it was just a process that had been done year after year, and that's just everybody going with the flow. So instead of Ms. Davis, Mayor Palmer named Marcy Galley and Levi Adler. And then all of the heartburn began, and the whispering at the dais. It was obvious. It was obvious that you all cringe at the mayor having any authority of her own. People can see it on your faces. They can. Because you actually look like you're in pain. And that was the picture that went on the front of the newspaper. I stood in this building almost a year ago when it was standing room only, and I was the only person that understood specifically what action could be taken by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Well, the developer seemed to know as well because he ended up withdrawing his plat request. I also provided old meeting minutes and documents very useful to the city at that moment, so you are welcome for helping the city avoid another potential lawsuit. You're welcome. There is a pattern and the public sees it. Every time the mayor tries to do something good, she is targeted and the pushback continues. She's targeted. The public sees it. So to Nathan Crummell and Tony Fisher, who sponsored this item, I hope you're both as concerned with commission members actually having completed applications on file. Board applications I've seen through the years have been sloppy, to say the least. Make that your priority, that you actually have applications on file. And that it's not just fill out your name and address at the top, skip all the questions, and sign it at the bottom. And that's your application. By the way, good job to the city for finally posting a call for boards and commissions this year. Finally. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeanette, you wanted public hearing this one or the next one? No? Okay. So the time now is 6:30. The public hearing is now closed. Thank you for your comments. We're going on to item 6 in the second public hearing, and we will consider an ordinance of the City of Willow Park, Texas, providing for an amendment to existing PD zoning ordinance 830-21, allowing for certain commercial uses within the planned development with a special use permit provision for 12.49 acres situated in the David Addington Survey, abstract number 468, and McKinney and Williams Survey, abstract number 21, City of Willow Park, Texas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. The time now is 6:32. The public hearing is now open. Do we have anybody wishing to comment on this public hearing? Okay. The time is now 6:32. Closing the public hearing. Moving on to number 7. We will discuss and consider action to adopt an ordinance ordering the May 2nd, 2026 general election. This ordinance will call the election for our council seats up for re-election, and those seats are currently held by Nathan Crummell, Buddy Wright, and Scott Smith. Before we make a motion to approve, can you please read the caption for us, Dina?
I'm sorry, I don't have it right here in front of me. So per the state law, Section 3.004 of Texas Election Code, the city is required to order the general election of the political subdivision. This year, the city will order the general election for city council places 3, 4, and 5. The general election will be held on May 2nd, 2026. Oh, sorry about that. Designating a polling place within the municipal limits, appointing a presiding election judge and alternate presiding election judge, establishing other procedures for conduct of the election, providing the severability clause, providing for publication of notice, and providing for an effective date. So sign up will begin starting tomorrow at 8 a.m. The application packet has been posted on our website as required by law, and I do have them in person. And the sign up continues through 5 p.m. on Friday, February the 13th. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance as read.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. Going on to item 8, to discuss and take action to consider approval of water conservation plan. We have interim city manager, Michelle Gilker.
Mayor, let me make one comment. So Dina, was that the ordinance calling the vote, does that need a voice vote? Does the ordinance?
I know the ordinance has that on there.
Yeah,
That was copied from last year, but it's not required to have that.
Just want to make sure.
We can do it, but I don't have.
No.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
Okay, Michelle.
Council, before you tonight is the conservation plan. We are required to redo this every 5 years. In the past, it's been when you would water, if you were on city water. Now it's required to be more detailed, which is what you have in your packet. We now must include goals and targets to meet, to try to meet a lot of this that's already proposed. We already do as far as record keeping, replacing meters, the tiered rating. One thing that I think we can work on is going to be our public outreach. Getting that done. One thing I did want to point out that Dina found earlier, in the ordinance adopting it, on section 2, it says, city secretary is hereby directed to implement and administer. And that should actually be
And I'm like,
director of public works.
Please, no.
No, no, thank you. Okay.
No, thank you.
Y'all have any?
So we did change it, in the ordinance that's going to be signed, we did change it to Director of Public Works this afternoon. I caught that and was like, wait a minute,
We're going to make it Chase's problem.
So, yeah.
Y'all have any questions?
I have some questions.
Okay.
So approximate what percentage of groundwater are we using versus the water from the city of Fort Worth? at
We're
this
about a 50-50 split right now.
Okay, 50/50. And you and I talked a little bit about this, but I noticed a steep reduction in water loss in the report you provided. So can you tell everyone what prompted the decline, which is wonderful, by the way? In 2021, the water loss percentage was 18%, and in 2022, it went down to 6.66. Was there a major fix, or is it related to our PD conversion to ESD1 that was mentioned earlier?
It is not related to the fire
No?
department whatsoever, or ESD. In this case, this would be the meter change out. This would have been the year that we changed the meters from, they had multiple different meters out there. They had Badger, gosh, I can't think, but we went to a census meter. They were all brand new meters. When they stop working, we automatically go change them because we get alerted to it. So the biggest change in the drop is our meters were changed out. And we were getting better record keeping on what was happening with those meters.
So the new ones were more exact?
Yes, ma'am.
On what was used?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? No? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance and plan as provided.
I second.
All in favor? Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, item 9, discussion and action to consider an ordinance of the City of Willow Park, Texas, amending the City of Willow Park Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Zoning, Article 16, Commission 14.16.003, Membership and Terms 14.16.004, Procedure 14.16.005, Duties and Powers, and 14.16.006, Staff Support, providing for repeal, providing for savings and severability, providing for publication, and establishing an effective date. So this is from Mayor Pro Tem Nathan and Interim City Manager Tony Fisher.
Can I address what was Ms. Galley presented? If you remember back when we did have the time with your call for why do we have an alternate mayor pro tem, it was just, as I discussed before, this is a time we thought, let's take a relook at all of our boards and see why we do what we do. And honestly, it was from your inspiration of not needing an alternate. I believe when Ms. Galley spoke about adding an alternate, it's not an additional member to council. It was just establishing a structure for our council in case the mayor and mayor pro tem were not there. It was not adding any substitute or bench players to the existing. And so that was the thought here was we don't need any bench players or alternates to come in if someone can't be there. We just allow our boards, our commissions, everyone to serve when they can serve by calling appropriate meetings at those times instead of having to bring in someone from the sidelines. So that was just a point of clarity from the prior time, and not to usurp any authority, but just to reconcile it all and make it hopefully more advantageous for those that are taking the time to serve on one of our boards and commissions.
If I may add to that, we do have a chair and a vice chair for the exact same. So it would be as in a mayor pro tem and an alternate mayor pro tem. So we have the mayor and the mayor pro tem. It's the same thing on the board. So on P&Z board, we do have a chair and a vice chair. So if the chair is not available, the vice chair steps in to run the meeting. So it is not any additional, we do have someone in place that steps in to chair that meeting.
So these are alternates, these are alternates, right? We have
This is
alternates
relating
here,
to the
right?
alternates. We do not have alternates for council.
And this, so just to
You
bring
just
it
call them
across.
mayor pro tem and second.
That's not an alternate.
Right?
Mayor, I'm council member place 5, that's serving as the pro tem, which is in place of the mayor when you can't be here
Right.
to do your duties. And so that's all this is just establishing an order for each of those. And the alternates would be someone that, if we did not have quorum, would step in to provide that quorum. And that's what we're saying, not to have to bring in someone that's not particularly up to date or any of those things, but rather that they can step in, that we have the people that can serve when the time and at the meeting times that we have available.
So if we don't have enough people there, we will just not have meetings.
Correct. Or
P&Z,
have the ability.
We would cancel the P&Z without a quorum, just as you would with a council meeting. So to equate it, if Scott's not here, you would have an alternate would be sitting in his place to make his vote. But we don't have that because we don't have alternates on council. The same being for P&Z, and as will be for Parks Board and for Board of Adjustment. So the ordinance that we passed, or council passed in November, was that no longer will there be alternates for any of the boards and commissions. And so that is removing all of those. So it would be that if we don't have a quorum, that a special meeting can be called. And that was added in this ordinance. The fact that if there is something that's pressing, such as a plat that has a shot clock that we have to review, then we can call a special meeting when we can have a quorum. It would be the same thing as if we didn't have a quorum for council, that meeting would be canceled. A special meeting could be called in order to hear those items at another time when we could have a quorum. So it would be activating the same.
So why did we do that right then? Why was that changed?
It was,
What was the timing?
it was just to clear up some of the confusion on it. And like you said, when you brought up why are we electing an alternate mayor pro tem, like I said, it got me thinking as well, like, why do we have, you showed that there wasn't really a need for it on that. And I thought, do we need alternates on any of these if we have the ability to call our own special meetings when the quorum can't be reached? So that was the inspiration for it, and just trying to reconcile all of our boards, commissions, everything to work harmoniously and to where there's not different guidelines for each, but that everybody on each board and commission knows how the process works.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment to the City of Willow Park Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 16
I'm
as
not
presented.
finished. I have more questions or discussion, I'm sorry.
There's a motion out there.
Who made the motion?
I did.
I just said I wanted to talk
You
some
can
more.
Andy, is
still
that a
make a
legal
motion, we
motion?
can still comment. You don't have to.
That's a motion. I don't know if y'all have a procedure to call the question. Calling the question is basically where debate stops, it's not debatable, you have to have a vote on it. If the question is called, then you go immediately to the vote. So that's what it sounds like you're attempting to do, but.
So I can ask some more questions, or?
Okay,
Because he
so-
jumped out, I have to be quiet, sit down, right?
So my understanding, if you want to take a break, I can look at the procedure for calling the question. but-
Sure, let's take a break. Thank you. Let's do it.
Let me look at it. I'll be right back. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, okay, all right.
Okay, it's 6:49. We're going to resume. I did not recognize Councilman Eric Contreras. I was still speaking. So I would like to finish my thought. And I was saying that.
She didn't recognize you.
Do I?
She's asking me about that. I'm like, yeah, she didn't recognize you.
Right. Okay. So again, so what I was asking is when I looked at the billing and the notes, it was shortly after I named the Home Rule Commission that everything went into action for my alternates to come off. And that's not a question to anybody. I saw it myself on the bills and where we were. So it is my recommendation that we keep the alternates on our Planning and Zoning Commission as well as other boards. That is my
May I ask
recommendation.
why?
Yes, because why are we changing all these ordinances and everything all of the sudden when we've had alternates before? Why are we having to jump through hoops and all of a sudden change everything?
Mayor Palmer, if I may read my brief again so that we can review that again. The City of Willow Park currently has no procedures in place for the creation, advertisement, and application process for Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Commissioner selection process is contradictory and poorly worded. Following ordinance is aligned with the City of Willow Park Code of Ordinance, Chapter 1, Article 1.05, Boards, Commissions, and Committee, which was presented to the City Council at November 17, 2025 meeting. Changes in the zoning ordinance include definitive, transparent, and honest procedure for the Commission's application process, affirmation of authority by the Mayor, City Council, and City staff for Commissioner recommendations, clarifying ambiguous and conflicting language for the appointment of commissioners, elimination of alternate positions to align with the Parks Board, also an advisory board, and the City Council, the city's governing body, neither of which have alternates. More flexible schedule for meetings to meet the city's needs and quorum requirements. Addition of more defined roles and regulations to increase commission understanding. More specific scope of duties and powers to assure proper commission function. Amendment of staff liaison reporting requirements. City staff is confident that these changes will enhance understanding of the commission for its body and for the public, allow for consistency in procedures, and ensure clarity for the commission's role. This item was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission on December 16, 2025, and it was passed with a unanimous vote of 4-0. City staff recommends that it be approved. Now, let me respond back also to the public comment. So we've already addressed the calling for the alternate council when in fact council does not have alternates. When discussed with the Catherine Davis, that was the only application that staff had. That is why that application was in the packet. To date, I still do not have an application for one of those two that were appointed to the alternate place for the P&Z board.
So no applications.
I do not have a current application, a full application for one of the two alternates that is currently appointed to P&Z board by you. Staff never saw the application prior to the packet going out, which is why Catherine Davis's name was in it. You contacted staff. You had the authority to remove that and to appoint an alternate, the alternates, in which you did, changing out the packet and putting in your two alternates instead and taking out Ms. Davis's name.
Did she fill out that? She filled out the information, the application. You had one application?
One application.
3, right?
Whenever the P&Z alternate position opened, when Mr. Chandler stepped into that position, that left an alternate position open. She applied for that position, having watched the meeting and known that there was an application available for that alternate position at that time.
Okay,
So your timing, to answer that question, that is why the timing came about when it did. It was questioned that staff had no procedure for these things. So to rectify this, that is why we did that.
So we had no alternates on any of these boards?
We did, and now we don't, because by
Now we
the
don't.
precedent of the fact that we don't have any for council.
Okay. So all of a sudden, we don't have alternates.
We don't have
We did.
alternates for council, therefore, we followed that lead for all of our commissions
We
and
took
boards,
it off all of them.
which was voted and approved on November 15th by the city council.
Okay, all right, there you go. All right, do we have any other discussion? Nope. Is there a motion?
Yes, Ms. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment to the City of Willow Park Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Article 16, as presented.
Second.
All in favor? There you go. Okay. Item 10, report and discussion on the progress and status of the Home Rule Charter. Jean Martin, would you like to do your report?
You want to speak on this item? Yeah, you go first. Go ahead. My name's Scott Karen. I said this in the charter open house, or town hall. I'm not opposed to home rule as it's in its sense, because there's like 300 something cities that use it. So that's not a concern in its sterile sense. An ethics committee doesn't bother me. I'm a rule follower. Ethics is something we should all be doing. The ethics committee that they're trying to create with this home rule is a whole different animal. So we're doing this dance of back and forth of whether or not this ethics committee has binding authority, subpoena authority, all the things that are a massive overreach for an ethics committee. There are only 4 cities in the state of Texas that have ethics committees that have any sort of teeth, so to speak, and they're still not binding. It's San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, and Austin. But if you plug in AI and start asking AI, list the cities that have binding authority where they've given these ethics committees the ability to subpoena, penalize. You guys missed too many city council meetings, they could pull you in and you could be removed. Now, I know they're going to deny that, but this isn't written yet. And they're going to put this inside of a ballot initiative, and you guys are going to have to create it by the ballot language, which is probably going to cut your own throats. I'm just telling you that. If this is passed the way they've written it, in 6 months, they'll be removing city council members. Promise. And the city will be run de facto by an ethics committee. And the city council will become some formal title thing. And this will become a 15-layer governmental mess. It'll look like a Rube Goldberg machine. And no one's going to want to do business here. So if you want an ethics committee, do it. Have it be non-binding. Specific language says it's prohibited from being binding. And take their advice. But the fact that we're calling for subpoenas is flat earth crazy. If I were the chief of police, I'd be super concerned about the moment they started talking about any kind of subpoena power. Because I'd drag you in front of a judge in about 10 seconds and tell you no. So all the things that are in the meetings that I'm hearing, and there's people that are opposed to it being shouted down, and even in the meeting that I was in, somebody got irritated. I'm not sure that's the tenor that I want of people running an ethics committee that will have binding authority over decisions. So you're going to have business people wanting to come in here that are going to get an ethics colonoscopy by that. And this is largely some of the same people that wrote incredibly nasty things about the former city manager and the former mayor on social media and everywhere. Some of them got told to take it down because it was illegal. Because they were accusing him of committing crimes and fraud. So there is an awareness here where we're talking out of both sides of our mouth, and I suck at that. I don't pretend. So here's the thing. The ethics committee thing's a deal breaker. It's a deal breaker in the sense that I'm telling you, if it's got binding authority, subpoena power, the ability to override business deals or any of that, I haven't seen it because he put it in there Friday, and then supposedly it's changed again. And then we've done a legal review on it, but they've done a legal review, and the legal review wasn't on the final version. It was on like 2 versions ago. I also want to know in this giant cutout that we've done for this ethics panel, Mr. Counsel, if this has we don't know what we get till we pass it, that's likely an unfunded mandate. How are we going to put something on the ballot and vote for it if we don't know what the financial impact for the city is? How on God's green earth is that ethical? Because I'll bet you money that the folks that sit on the ethics committee, because they have the ability to mess up business deals and stall them and wait them out until somebody leaves, or make a decision that causes you guys to get sued, you're going to need to bond them. That's a financial burden. That's called an unfunded mandate. So there's probably 50 of those hidden in that thing somewhere. How can we ethically put that on the ballot if we don't know specifically what it's going to be and what the cost implications for us are? So just like some of the, going back on the road thing, we're going to do a petition on this and turn it in. I have roughly the numbers now, 320 to 350. It's $320,000 to $350,000 that we will lose if if a petition gets turned in and it gets put on a ballot. Prove me wrong.
Okay.
Prove me wrong. So if it goes on the ballot,
Dina,
hold on, if it goes on the ballot,
5 minutes?
I'll wrap this up,
keeping
ma'am.
Well, no, I don't, I mean, it's just under comments, correct?
Okay, if it goes on the ballot
She can
and it
apply
passes, we still lose the money, if I'm correct. Somebody is going to have to explain that to me later.
We don't have a
My
quorum.
bad. That's
But if it doesn't,
Yeah.
Okay.
are you done, ma'am?
You are, because that's 5 minutes is what she's saying.
Okay, I did not know that.
Thank you.
I can
I'm
see.
sorry, that was my fault because I didn't put it up there. So I
That's
thought
okay.
under public comments was where I thought we timed it, but I was just told we do it under everything, so
Okay.
my apology.
All right, I am wholly opposed to an ethics committee with binding authority.
Okay.
I would recommend that you look at I would recommend you look at the comments that I made to Articles, I think it's 11 and 12, or 12 and 13 that deal with that. So it addresses
Jean?
a lot of what your comments were.
We have one more comment. I'm sorry.
Well, let me just move on.
I know, I'm sorry. Bill Green?
Bill Green, live at 224 Vista Drive, the forgotten part of Willow Park up on the hill. But anyhow, I want to talk about what this gentleman just talked about. You know, there was a commission put together, all of them residents from Willow Park. They were all interviews. We got some good people off of it. We got professional people. We got people that are based into any other kind of industry, from Lockheed to self-employed to contractors, you name it, and they were in there. And they were given a task to put something together for the citizens of Willow Park. Not for the council, not for the mayor. The citizens of Willow Park. And it's been a hard road, and I want to give a thanks to Buddy Wright, if you don't mind me calling out a councilman's name, because he had some questions a while back at the regular council meeting. And Gene said, hey, come to one of the meetings. And by golly, Buddy came to one of the meetings. And he had a list of his questions, and he had his notes with him. And there was a special time during that every one of his questions got addressed and got talked about, and there was some agreement and there was some disagreement. But still, Buddy was there, and he saw how hard these people had all worked to come up with what they're getting, to show that there's a way for the residents to help govern without out-governing the sitting body that's there, meaning the council and the mayor. It gives specific jobs to these people. Yeah, there's some changes, like the numbers of councilmen, the mayor gets a vote, da-da-da-da, all kinds of things like that. But it also addresses everything that we can do to help these folks make this city keep growing like it is, because it's going to grow. We're not going to stop that. We don't want to stop that. What we do, and now here's something that one young lady got up and talked about. You don't forget about those of us that are here, that have been in this city for 10, 15, 20, or like me, 40 some odd years. We've got needs. We've got road needs, particularly up on the hill. We've got water needs in some area. We definitely, if you're in Laguna Vista, which is up on the hill, you dig down 3 feet, you hit a solid rock, 14 feet thick, that you can't drill through. So needless to say, everybody's on septics. But the more that that's grown up there, septic systems are starting to fail. And it's costing monumental money to put in a different kind of septic system. Whenever that was designed up there on that hill, it never could pass percolation. And that was because of the sitting body that didn't care. What I'm wanting to see out of this is a sitting body. You're all diverse in your employment. You're all diverse in your families. We need you guys to come together and start supporting us and start supporting the city rather than us bumping heads with you guys. You should be available to give answers if somebody comes with a question, either over your own home phone, your cell phone, or your office or something, because it's important to somebody that lives in this city. I hate to say this, I don't know how many councilmen this goes to, but I was talking to one in particular just recently, and I mentioned Laguna Vista and Vista Drive and all that, and he said, I don't know where that is. And he's a councilman. How many councilmen have been to the various areas to see what it looks like? How many councilmen have ever gone any place except for to hear and then gone home to their jobs? How many councilmen have gone up into the areas and seen somebody walking their dog down the street and say, hey, how things going? What can we do for you? That's my vision of a home rule, and that's my vision of a city council. And the third part of that vision is a mayor that gets to participate and have a voice in it and a vote in it. If we have to add a sixth councilman, okay. Somebody brought up at one of the meetings and said, well, why do we want 6 when Weatherford's only got 3? Well, why do we have 5 when Weatherford's only got 3? Do we need 5? Does Weatherford need 3? Do we need 6? I mean, that's a determination that's going to be made on all this. But anyhow, that's the way I see it. The way I see your job as councilman on the city council is the time has been out there for you to make comments on it, as Buddy has done, to make people understand it, as Buddy has done. And then your only job is to put it on the ballot. Let the people that it's for, the people that have written it, decide if we're going to be a home rule or if we're not going to be a home rule. I see I'm out of time.
Thank you, Bill Green.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Jean, you're up.
Hey, any questions? Okay, Madam Mayor, gentlemen, I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping this up. I printed out a couple of pages of a report. I'm not going to read it verbatim. There's a couple things I do want to read. We had 2 meetings in a town hall since we all got together at your last council meeting. During those couple meetings, we added a really complicated definition for an ethics board and an ethics code, chapters or articles 11 and 12. Andy made a lot of good comments to that. And after careful consideration, we deleted all that stuff because it's a great idea, but a lot of it is new stuff. And I don't think our brand new charter is the correct method to test out or test drive a whole brand new process. So what we did is the ethics board definition got rolled back to, we're requesting that the city council create an ethics code and ethics board by ordinance. A lot simpler. And it'll be your fault then. We did have some questions that came in from the town hall meetings. I've got a whole list of them here if you wanted me to read them, but I don't.
No.
I'm trying to incorporate them into a complete list, categorize the questions, and put it up as a frequently asked question thing on the website. Going forward, I think we're going to need that. At the last town hall meeting, it was suggested that the primary purpose of the charter was to increase voter turnout. And I actually had a, no. The purpose of the charter is to provide grassroots tools by which the citizens have a firmer control over the city government if they choose to get involved. These rights of referendum, initiative, and recall are currently not available through the general law, state-defined method that we work under. Increased participation may be a beneficial consequence of having a charter, but it's not a realistic expectation of adopting the charter. And again, the Board of Ethics raised several questions. And that's what, we just had to rescind that stuff out of there. And that's posted online now. Giving the mayor a vote and adding a council member, place 6 were questioned. Specific questions suggested that we should adopt Weatherford's 4-council member system. A voting mayor and an even number of council seats is the best definition to avoid the tie situations. The Weatherford mayor does get a vote and is thereby better integrated with the rest of the council. Weatherford's council members are elected by wards. And the commission actually discussed the concept of, and we redefine the city into wards and have a council member represent different areas. Coming up with a definition on how to create those districts was a little bit beyond our ability, so we opted to retain the at-large for all members. Okay? And we also didn't know which one of your seats we'd want to eliminate. Just saying. We do have a meeting scheduled for the 14th. I am hopeful, optimistic, that we will actually finish the charter in that meeting. Fallback position is we can call a final meeting on the 21st. I really hope we don't. That's my wife's birthday. So I have a personal interest in that. But the ultimate goal remains to provide the finished charter to the City Council on the 27th of January this year. Okay? And that should, I mean, you've already called for an election, and I'll defer to Mr. Messer to determine what we might need to do to add the ballot, the charter. Okay? With the anticipation that once that happens, at some point, we're going to have to go through and plan how to package the charter, how to print it, and set it up, mail it to all of the registered voters of Willow Park. I'm proposing, and if nobody else will, I will entertain a question to the Texas Attorney General to see if it is allowed to send a copy to a household. Do you have any insight into that?
I think the statute says to all eligible voters, so I don't think it could be to a household.
Okay.
I haven't reviewed that, but I think that's what the statute says.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't hurt to ask the Attorney General for an opinion on that. Because, I mean, it could cut the cost in half or to 40% or.
I understand.
So
There have been bills in the legislature to allow notice by electronic mail instead of regular mail, so anyway.
Okay, well, we should explore all options on that.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, because right now, the expense of mailing out potentially 4,500 copies of a 30-page document is the largest expense of adopting the charter.
Yeah, understood.
Okay? But once we do mail that out, I am optimistic again that the voters in Willow Park will suddenly go, what? What's this? And so we have tentatively scheduled, or we have reserved 3 dates for additional town halls. And I am still optimistic that people will want to become more informed, and we will give them the opportunity to be so informed. There is another point that I wanted to talk about. I was informed over this past weekend that a council member has been submitted not less than 9 emails, inquiries to the city attorney, basically looking to have a question answered of how can we interpret local government code section 9002 so that we can invalidate and delete the established Home Rule Charter Commission. I am not going to, I have seen email exchanges, which I can't really discuss because I'm not going to get into any revelation of attorney-client privilege. But I'm curious as to how many billable hours got racked up from that inquiry. And in saying so, I would like it that when the city accounts for the expenses, that expense is not counted against the development of the charter. I mean, the cost of this charter thing has been an oft-repeated subject, and I don't want the activity that is trying to dismantle the process to be attributed to the actual work going towards getting it done. So, any questions?
Andy, I have a question. Gene, you mentioned the 9 emails to the city attorney.
Yes.
Is that a violation of city's attorney-client privilege that those were released?
Yeah, so attorney-client communication is privileged. Communications between myself and any council member would be privileged. Releasing them to a third party potentially would be violating that privilege.
Okay. So how did you get those emails?
Well, okay. I was told that they were transmitted to me with the knowledge of the city attorney.
How did you get those emails?
Mr. Messer?
I don't.
Were you aware that I was being,
Yeah,
that they
I
were
knew
being
that-
transmitted to me?
Yeah, I mean, yes, the mayor told me that she was going to give the information that I was relaying to her, to you, which was answering the council members' questions about my opinion on the validity of the constitution of the Charter Commission. I'm not sure it was dealing with emails, it was dealing with my advice and opinions.
Did you caution the mayor that she should not do that?
I don't think I was aware that emails were going to be provided to you.
Yeah, I was going to contact Gene, and you were going to contact the council and go over that. So.
Yes, you were.
Right? You were telling.
Well, I don't want to divulge the communication that you and I had specifically in public, which would be doing the same thing, so.
Right. So we can.
I'm probably going to have to leave it at that.
Okay.
To protect that privilege.
Okay.
Because every communication I have, no matter what form it is, with city staff, council is protected.
Okay. So we'll leave it there.
And
I also would
We'll
like
follow
to,
back up with you and I.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
As council. Okay. Got
I
it.
would also like to discuss the assertion around how can we interpret LGC code 9002 to invalidate and delete. That is a gross mischaracterization of my comments and my inquiries to the city attorney. I will quote one of my emails to the attorney verbatim. If there are potential challenges to the validity of the charter along the lines I've questioned, is it prudent, legal, or expected for a member of the council to raise those potential legal risks? If we proceed as is, do we invite future legal challenges on those grounds? I ask this in terms of risk management and fiduciary responsibility to the city. Is this a reasonable and defensible position? Every question I asked around this was around whether or not we had followed the process to the letter, because 9002 has some degree of ambiguity in it. And I wanted to make sure we were on firm legal footing before we put this to a vote. That has to be clear. You characterizing it as me trying to get it nuked, you can read every email out here, and you will see that that was not my intent. I was trying to protect the city in making sure that we were on firm legal footing. And there is a reason why I have not brought that up with anybody else, because I needed to know if I'm not right, then there's no point in bringing it up.
Do you really want to pursue this discussion in this meeting?
I don't think so. I think the attorney,
I'm happy to give my opinion if you.
I understand your
Hi.
opinion. I've gotten a verbal opinion from you. I am going to get a legal memo from you on this to address my specific questions.
okay.
But I needed to make sure, from a fiduciary standpoint, are we protected? Are we on firm legal footing?
Your initial emails led me to believe that that was not necessarily your intent. I will just simply leave it at that.
Okay, so Andy, you've addressed it with me, you've addressed it with him. We did not say the councilman's name. He just spoke out to tell everyone his name. So that's not protected at this point. So are you through with your report?
Entertain any questions.
I do have some questions, if I can be recognized.
Go ahead.
Chairman Martin, has every member of the commission received the Texas Open Meetings Act training and gotten their certification?
Well, I didn't go visit their houses and look at everything they've done, but I gave that direction back in August.
Can you find out and report back to us, please, on that?
Sure.
It seems like that would be an important thing, right?
Okay. I think mine are on file with the.
Okay.
I have yours.
At the last town hall, things got a little, I think you described it best during the public comments section. From watching the video, it appeared a few citizens were asking questions that the commission did not want to discuss, respond to, or consider in modifying the charter. Would that be accurate?
I'm not sure which questions you're.
Regarding the ethics and all that other stuff that has been the hot topic for a lot of people.
Okay, well, a lot of questions were asked pertinent to the ethics thing, and I know that there was some confusion that was due primarily to the fact that the online version available still had the Articles 11 and 12 in it, and a lot of my answers were that that's been deleted, and it's really hard to go anywhere else other than that with the discussion. So I don't think we were doing anything to avoid answering the questions. So.
Is the commission familiar with the Texas Government Code 551.007?
Is everybody on the commission familiar with that? What's the title of that reference?
Well, it's the law that ensures the governmental body may not prohibit public criticism of the governmental body, including criticism of any act, omission, policy, procedure, program, or service.
No, I doubt that every member of the commission is familiar with that one in detail.
So from watching the video online, it appeared that the Home Rule Commission attempted to silence citizens that were asking questions. This could be seen as a violation of their First Amendment right and violation of the Texas Government Code 551.07. Has the commission answered Ms. Wagner's questions? I know she brought up some and they had not really been answered. So has the commission answered them yet?
I have tried to specifically answer every question that Ms. Wagner has asked.
Okay. How many changes have been made to the charter from citizen input from town halls?
I don't know, a couple dozen? Maybe a dozen? I'm not keeping count of things that way.
Okay. The majority of the commission members have said that they would like this on the May ballot, which you have said tonight. Can you explain to the public the reason or reasons placing this on the May ballot versus placing it on the November ballot?
Well, yeah, primarily, it's a city function. May is when we have city elections. And putting it on a November ballot, where there are more county, more state, more federal issues, I would be concerned that the city business would get lost in the shuffle.
I believe members of the Home Rule Committee have said that the voters in November elections are uninformed or uneducated. Did I hear that correctly?
I don't know what commission member you may have heard say that, so I can't answer that.
So I'm really confused right now. I thought this commission wanted the people to decide on the home rule. Is that correct?
I'm not sure why you're confused, but yes. No, wait a minute. I'm not sure which way you asked that question. Let's see. The Home Rule Commission will want a majority of voters in Willow Park to approve the charter. Is that the question you were asking?
Kind of. So can you please tell everyone here how many May elections have had a greater voter turnout than November elections?
Well, no, I can't.
Okay.
I mean, I know that there might be a couple of May elections that have had more voter turnout of Willow Park voters only, but finding out what that number is very difficult, than a couple of November elections. But in the last decade, I would say that would be none.
Right.
Because the number of voters coming out for state and federal issues is much, much higher.
I would agree. It's probably zero. So if May elections are a smaller turnout than November elections, why does this commission say that they want the people to decide? Why is the commission pushing this to May when we're not going to have very many people vote on it?
Okay, I'll give you the same answer. It is because November elections, the majority of voters are turning out in bigger numbers because of state and federal issues, and the city concepts of trying to educate people about the charter, for instance, would get lost in the noise.
So if we don't want the majority of the Willow Park voters to decide on the charter, I think we kind of figure out why the commission has called some of the voters uneducated and uninformed in November.
Well, you just made a statement which I don't think is based on fact. Tell me which commissioner said that.
I'm not going to name names because you're not supposed to name names, but if you want to get together afterwards, I can actually show you the video.
Okay, that'd be great.
The ethics board language has continued to change almost every week. Like you had said that you'd removed quite a bit of it in some of the other sections, correct?
We actually returned it to the version that it was in before we added the Articles 11 and 12. So I don't know that we've changed it every week, but there's two major changes, yes.
Right. Could it be that the previous versions of the ethics board were so out of touch with what the voters of Willow Park wanted? From my review of the latest charter, why did the commission decide to make this section of the only section of the charter that the city council will decide on the text only after it's voted on it and we also have a city council election?
I'm not sure I'm understanding your question yet.
So this is the only part of the actual charter that the city council would actually amend it and put verbiage in it, correct?
No.
What?
You would not be, okay. Maybe And I didn't bring the document with me to read it, and I quite honestly don't have it actually memorized word for word. But the provision in there is that the city council, by ordinance, will define what an ethics board makeup and the structure. The charter is only establishing that that should happen. You don't, the council would not amend the charter per se, but follow that instruction and implement by ordinance. Okay?
I'm with you on that one. So isn't this a direct conflict with what the commission stance that the citizens decide on the charter? But now you want the council to decide on a key aspect of it?
Well, I'm not sure that that's the only thing in there that the city council establishes by ordinance.
But this is
You've established all of the ordinances.
Right.
Okay?
But this is specific that the charter actually says in there that this would, the city council would establish an ordinance defining the ethics board and anything else subsequent to it, correct?
It does say that, yes.
Right. So if that's the case, why won't the commission allow this council to add or remove language right now to the home rule charter?
Have you proposed any such changes?
Well, we finally started getting some text where we can read it. I'm not as efficient as some of the other council members in reading it, but I like to try to digest it as best as I can and at my pace.
I've given multiple pages of analysis multiple times. The last time I gave input, which was this weekend, after the latest version had been posted on Friday, I was dismissed by the chairman and said that my input would not be reconsidered by the board.
Everybody on the council is aware of that because I copied them on the same message, and I included in that message precisely why I was not forwarding that on to the commissioners. Of the 15 pages of material that I found in my email box Monday morning prior to a scheduled Wednesday evening meeting.
When you posted it on Friday.
And reviewing fairly rapidly some of the input you had, 3 out of 3 things I looked at were really not valuable to the cause.
I think that you misread one of those because I mentioned risk around House Bill 2127. And you mentioned that this was some kind of Democratic bill that had been killed in committee. What really needs to be looked at is House Bill 2127 from 2023, which is the Texas Regulatory Consistence Act, which expands state preemption over local regulation by cities and counties in broad subject areas. It limits local ordinances in fields covered by specific Texas codes unless there is clear state authorization, and it creates a litigation mechanism allowing challenges to preempted local rules. My document was I was looking through the lens on how does the charter match up to House Bill 2127? And I gave you some very specific recommendations, but you misread what House Bill 2127 I was looking at. I'm sorry.
No, sir, you didn't identify the correct 2127. I went to the most recent session of the Texas legislature and looked up 2127. You didn't say 1923. Or 2023.
I said House Bill 2127 that has to do with home rule charters. But there are about 7 points that if a home rule charter infringes on House Bill 2127 that are problematic. The charter provisions may be invalid or enforceable. You have higher probability of lawsuits. You lose government immunity risk. You have attorney fee exposure. You have strategic and political risk. You have, there are trigger areas that are broad. 2127 is built in order to put guidelines around city charters to prevent overreach into places where the state has authority. and it is relative, I mean, it's 2023, so it's new. But we run a lot of risk if we go afoul of that, and that was part of my question. And you've
Your
just said-
question, as posed, was not clear.
I am
Maybe
sorry.
if you had done that a little bit
If I had said
differently, it would be a
2023 instead
different
of-
solution. But when I read that, I got off to a bad start looking at 15 pages of stuff that you wanted me to send to 10 people and have them spend some number of hours getting ready to debate in very limited time. Now, wait a minute, one more point. You are bringing up that there is a potential legal conflict concern, and I was dependent on the legal review from our city attorneys to have already done that.
Is that right?
Thank you.
Andy?
Sure.
We have a,
And
Fritz has been coming to every meeting as your attorney, our attorney, right?
Not every meeting, but yes, lately for sure he has. And then the last meeting, Dr. Susan Thomas was there as well. And we provided, I don't know, 49 comments to the charter.
Well, I believe my report
But
states,
that's true. I mean, yes, for sure.
the commission went through all of the comments from the legal review. Everything that affected a potential identified legal conflict was addressed, I believe. I did note that we had some late input from the city attorney that came in just a few hours before the meeting we were in, and I'm not certain that we caught all those comments, but I haven't had any additional feedback that we missed any of that.
And so Andy,
So would be able to tell me that.
you need to review the latest 15 pages
Yes, for
from
sure.
Buddy, right?
Yes.
So you have not had a chance to
No,
do the 15
I'm not.
pages.
No.
Well, the bulk of that is quoting the charter and then having suggested revised language. So it is not, it's 18 points, and they're relatively straightforward.
If I may,
Please.
I was not done, but if I may.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
When I saw Mr. Wright's comment on that one, I just did a quick search, and the first thing that pops up is the Texas scorecard article saying it's the legislative model for other states that this bill is, and it was signed by Governor Abbott, and it has been in effect since September 1st, 2023.
Great. And again, I would assume that that was at least an underlying structure from the legal review that our city attorney supplied.
Sure.
Right?
Without having a final copy, it's hard to compare
Understand.
things
I
against
understand.
to it.
I mean, things have been changing very rapidly, but yes, I understand what you're saying. If we see something that we think poses that risk, we'll give you comments to that as soon as we can.
And going
Y'all
back,
have until February 13th, I think, ultimately to conclude your business and report, give the final charter to the council. So there's still time left to do that.
I really don't want to be cutting it that
I
close.
understand.
Thank you very much.
But Fritz has been
Sure.
giving input, right? Fritz? Isn't that what you've been doing? You had a legal review come in back to the
So
commission?
we're speaking specifically as to Councilmember Wright's comments. I've only received those in the past couple of days. I am in the process of going through those. Andy and I are. Mr. Messer.
Fritz, can I ask a question? In any way, do you find that my questions are frivolous or not in good faith?
I do not find any of your questions or issues frivolous.
Thank you.
kind of going right back to where I was about how the commission wants the city council, after you vote on it, to then amend and add an ordinance in there to figure out a lot of the ethics and everything.
You're adding words that don't really make any sense. Sorry.
Okay, well, there's an easy fix to the entire issue. Remove the ethics section. That way, an amendment can be created regarding the ethics board in the future that is actually decided by the voters and not the council. If that's what we want, is the people, the citizens, to create this home rule charter, it just seems against everything that the commission has been standing for, why you would then have the council come in there. put a key piece in there.
And your question is?
Well, I asked some, but that's okay. I keep asking myself, why would the commission leave this open to the council? Surely the commission doesn't have people running for council seats this election. There is no way that the commission would ever try to deceive the voters by hiding the ethics chapter and running commissioner members to secretly add it once they are elected to council. Something this elaborate would need to be looked at for potential TOMA violations of collaborating between multiple people outside of a home rule charter committee meeting. That's why this has got to be false, right? Talk about a bold strategy. I believe this strategy has been called the California bait and switch.
Can you repeat that from the beginning? You lost me.
Nancy Pelosi.
Can you repeat that? Can you go back?
It's okay. The public would be shocked to their core, and the trust of the Home Rule Commission would be unrepaired. I'm so glad this has to be false, that the Home Rule Commission members are not running for city council seats, and we can put this behind us. So why is the commission just so intent on creating an ethics board?
We've looked at, I don't know, probably in the first couple of weeks, we looked at, depending on all 10, 11 members, 40 or 50 different charters. We converged on 4 that seemed quite relevant. And the concepts that were in those about creating an ethics board and having a well-defined code of ethics seemed really relevant. And to me, first off, I've heard a lot of stuff about, well, this will grow government. I don't expect it to. I don't think it's not the same as like creating a Department of Education. Okay. I'm actually optimistic that such a thing put in place wouldn't be needed. Kind of like putting a lock on my shed. Keeps honest people honest. Okay? So I really think it's a good idea. Proof is in the details. And again, the structure that was put into the Articles 11 and 12 that have been also much discussed, and which we pulled, had some really good definitions of safeguards that you can't just go to an ethics board member and say, he upset me. You really have to have a bona fide complaint, and you have to swear to it. And that would bring in penalties to somebody making false allegations. So, I mean, to do this properly, it has to have built-in protections both ways. Okay? I don't know. I guess that's a short summary of my thinking on it. Now, whether each council or each commissioner on the Home Rule Charter Commission thinks exactly the same way, can I guarantee that? Okay? Does that answer your question, though?
I think we're getting pretty close to that. In the current form that is out there right now of the Home Rule Charter, is the subpoena powers still in there?
Honestly, I don't remember.
So
the version that's posted does have it.
Okay. So what city or cities in the state of Texas have a ethics board with subpoena power?
I think that came from Liberty Hill.
Okay. Have you looked at Liberty Hill when they passed the Home Rule Charter, who was on the Charter Commission, what the voting of that city looked like?
One of our members was tasked with trying to contact the chairman of that board and getting information. I have not had that feedback yet.
If you look at, like what you said earlier, like voting in cities, it's really hard to May you can tell exactly when people within a city are voting, because it's very easy. But in November, it's a little tougher. You
can do it.
Precincts. Yeah, it is. You can do it. But for outsiders looking in, and I looked into the Liberty Hill aspect of it, and in 2020, I think President Trump only won by like 4 points. So not very much like the city of Willow Park, when President Trump, I believe, got almost 79% of the vote. Does that sound about right?
I think it was higher than 80, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, over that. But it just doesn't seem like the two cities are alike in any way.
Okay, good opinion.
So, yeah, it's just, why would we use a city that doesn't reflect our values? They're pieces of their charter.
Well, it's kind of the same concept of why I didn't bother to tell anybody who specifically, the person who gave me the chapters 11 and 12. And it doesn't matter who that person was. I didn't want the content of that to be biased by anybody's thinking about what that person was. How's that?
So do you have more, Eric? Because I have some.
Yes, I do. So Senator Cruz has been speaking on several podcasts recently about home rule. He talks about how radical home rule charters are the fastest way to destroy beautiful cities. He referenced Austin, Houston, and the District of Columbia, as we know DC. DC used to be so beautiful, but thanks to a radical home rule charter and their radical mayor, you have drugs in the streets, crime so bad the National Guard had to come in and help to get it under control, and homeless people everywhere.
Is there a
I
question
hope
here?
that's not
Because
where
you
Willow
seem
Park
to
is
be
headed.
just calling me out for a socialist once again at the
This
dais.
is my time, and I never said that word.
Clearly meant, clearly. Finish it up. Go ahead.
That's all I have, Chairman Martin. Thank you.
Well, was there a question there about DC and how deplorable it has become?
I have a question. How many years have we been eligible in the city of Willow Park to do a home rule? How many years?
Well, okay, so we officially declared, for different reasons, I think in March of 2016, that we were in excess of 5,000 population.
So 10 years we've been eligible, we haven't done a home
No.
rule in this city.
In 2016, we were negotiating with Kyle Wilkes to create the development that really spurred the economic growth of this city.
Okay.
In 2016, we were trying to get a bond issue passed to build a public safety building and concrete Ranch House Road. And if we hadn't been doing those things, I think we might have actually found a little bit of extra time to start a home rule commission. It would have been my plan to start that in 2017, but then I wasn't involved, so it didn't happen.
Excuse me, Mayor Palmer, if I may. I did look for, Mr. Martin had talked about an ordinance or a resolution that had been passed at that time, passing the 5,000. I did research that and was not able to find that document. We did just pass the 5,000 population. I believe it was in '24 that we did that.
Yeah, well, the figures I saw in 2020 that showed that we were at like 4,900, I don't think they counted anybody in Aledo or in our city that have an Aledo mailing address.
Okay, so there's a little discrepancy there.
Yeah, well, just clarifying.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. How many hours has the commission and you spent since the beginning, August, when we were formed? How many hours do you think?
Oh, I don't know.
I know you alone, but
Well, I don't know how many hours I've spent. I mean, this week, probably not more than about 10 so far.
right. So a lot of hours, the commission, and the commission's been going since August?
I mean,
Maybe
I'd
the
need,
meeting?
I'd need a spreadsheet. I'd have to go look it up. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So a lot of
Several
time,
hundred.
a lot of time for these questions to come up before here after the attorneys have weighed in, right? You did weigh in, right?
Yep. And anybody that wants our comments, they're in a red line form available.
Okay, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I don't think I posted one that had the comments from you in it. I could, but.
Sure.
And seriously, if there's anything I missed in that last batch that came in at,
Understand, sure, we'll give you more comments.
okay.
Yeah.
So we can do that? Okay.
Any other questions?
I have one last one. In terms of a proposed ethics board, would you expect that any ethics board that is passed by Willow Park to investigate violations of attorney-client privilege?
Would I expect that an ethics board would investigate that? Probably.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if we're through, we're going to go. Thank you,
That it?
Gene.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We have another public comment.
I don't think we're coming from the audience, are we?
We have on others.
It's up to you, it's up to you, but
I think he's been up 2 times already. Over.
That the disclosure of attorney-client
excuse me,
privilege info-
excuse me, let me have a caucus with the mayor.
Go ahead.
Microphone. Get in front of the microphone.
My apologies. The exposure of attorney-client privilege information, however you got it in here, is unconscionable. If you got it and you knew it was attorney-client privilege information, the fact that you're the chairman of the ethics committee, that you tried to somehow exploit that in this council meeting is unconscionable. It's unconscionable. I want people to know.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have to respond to that.
Okay.
Alls I did was identify that a council member submitted a question or a series of questions of a sort to the city attorney.
Which you should
I was-
never have had.
I'm sorry, my opinion, you sending a question to the attorney is public information. His response to you is attorney-client privilege. That's my opinion.
Andy, care to weigh in?
Okay, so are we moving on?
Can you set the record straight? Andy, yes or no?
I'm going to talk about in generalities. I'm not talking about in specifics, but everything that is communicated between an attorney and a client, the given forth of information back and forth is confidential. It's not just what the attorney says, it's the entire dialogue that's between an attorney and a client. That's the general parameters of that privilege.
But you knew I was contacting Gene. You approved of
Sure.
me
If you-
following up with Tim as the
Yeah, and-
commissioner, right?
And,
In charge,
and Mayor,
right?
respectfully, I don't want to go into the details of our communication because that would be divulging attorney-client communication.
Okay, we'll do that.
But I'm happy to
later.
talk with you and
We'll do that
Discuss this.
one-on-one. Okay, thank you. Okay, so item 11, discussion and action for approval of a policy sponsorship request application regarding hotel occupancy tax hot funds. And so from what I understand, Rose is presenting, and I am going to ask for a break for a few minutes. Thank you. I know, right?
I was all ready,
I know.
but I can be ready.
Back in session, 7:58, Rose.
Yes, ma'am. Just to kind of brief everybody on where we're at on this, we initially had on the agenda that this was going to be an application and a policy. We found out yesterday from legal that we will also have to have an ordinance to accompany this. So tonight's item is going to be discussion only, and we will be coming, assuming that y'all direct us to do so, we will be coming back with all of this, including the ordinance at a future meeting. Where I wanted to start on this is just kind of a quick overview of what we're talking about. There is a great deal of confusion in the public and some other folks on what we can use these dollars for and where these dollars come from. So I just wanted to do a couple of quick slides that just kind of explains that. Dina, if you'll pop one down for me, please. Thank you. So it's hotel occupancy taxes. They're commonly referred to as hot funds. Some people also call them hot taxes. I don't like it. It's redundant. I'm a grammar nerd. They're collected from basically all hotels and motels in the city's limits. So we have two, and it's a surcharge on room fees that is then paid directly to the city. There are very strict rules on how these funds can be spent. Dina, if you'll go to the next one, please. There's a two-part test for spending hot funds. The first one is that in some way it must contribute to putting heads in beds. So every funded project and every dime that we spend out of hot funds has to go towards attracting visitors to our city, which provides certain restrictions, as you can imagine. But there are certain things we can spend them on, and we're going to briefly go through that list, get into detail on a couple of things. Dina, next one, please. All right, so these are the 9 things that we can spend them on. Depending on the size and location of your city, some of the rules vary on some of these, but this is the 9 general categories. The first one is convention centers. The second one is convention registration. The third one is advertising the city. The fourth is promotion of the arts. The fifth is historical restoration and preservation. The fourth is sporting events. And then we have expanding or upgrading existing sports facilities. That's some very strict rules on that. Based on what I have researched so far, I'm not sure which of those rules apply to us. That's one of the reasons we need to talk to legal in more depth. Tourist transportation systems, that's pretty self-explanatory. And signage directing the public to sites and attractions. So that's kind of our 9 categories. So essentially, what we have done with HOT so far is a lot of advertising, which we're actually required to spend a certain percentage of what we get on advertising. So we are required to do some signage and to do some advertising and some marketing with these dollars. That is a state requirement that comes from the comptroller's office. We have been in compliance with that so far, but as we grow and as we have more wonderful things coming to Willow Park, we have had some requests from some pretty awesome folks that they would request to use hot funds to help support some of their things. With that, and when we turned over the budget year this year, we decided let's put a pause on hot spending for the moment, other than what was already in the budget, to take a look at our policy, get with legal, and make sure that we are fully in compliance on this, because there is a mandatory report that has to be filed once a year with the state. So we want to make sure that we have our ducks in a row and that we're not doing anything that's even in a gray area related to this. So one of the things that I am suggesting in the policy is that we create a policy that basically outlines all of this and how those things specifically apply to Willow Park, that we create an application process that shows that they kind of have to show us, how is this bringing visitors into our city? How are you calculating whether or not these are overnight visitors? One of the things that I have in my notes is that I'd like to hear about visitor impact with projected attendance, previous year's attendance. I'd like to know about their marketing plan. Are they advertising outside of Willow Park? Is there out-of-market advertising going on? That's a big thing in researching the policies from other cities that I saw was a very common thing. I think that's great. I think that's a really good way for us to gauge if this is bringing in people from out of town or if it's only people from here that are going to be attending that event. And that's one of the really big benchmarks that we have to look at. Is this where just people from Willow Park are going to attend this or go to this thing or see this show or go to this festival or whatever it might be? Or is this something that is going to benefit, that's going to bring people in from out of town and put heads in beds? That's one of the things that we really have to monitor, and we have to pay attention to those criteria. So that said, I will take any questions that anyone has at this time, and then hopefully you guys will direct me to go forth an ordinance.
Rose, as part of our ordinance and our policy, we can actually request that the person who's requesting those funds actually do that work for us, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that's actually one of the things that I would like to see in the application is that they gather that data and they gather that information. That's part of what they submit with their application. I left this out when I was discussing it, but my recommendation, and again, this will be will of council, what you guys want to do. My recommendation is that these applications run through my office, but that we create a committee with 2 council members or the mayor and myself, and those are the people who review the applications.
Is
Anybody
there,
else?
Is there any restrictions or guidance from the state telling us how much money we have to use in a certain year or a time frame?
Again, I want to be very clear, I am not an attorney and I am not a financial specialist, so take this with a grain of salt. That said, I have some training from TML on this. What I have found so far, and I'm actually working with someone in Andy's office who's a specialist on this, is that the only actual requirement I have found thus far is the signage and advertising requirement, which is 14% of what we bring in revenue. And other than that, I still need to flesh that out a little bit. There's still probably some things that we need to find out for sure. I want to make sure that those are written into the ordinance so that we make sure we're in compliance.
Okay.
If we don't hit that 14%, is this like a use it or lose it?
Andy?
I don't think so, but I'm not a specialist in this.
Based on the fact that we have
I wouldn't
carried over
think that would
funds
be
from year to year the past couple of years on this, I don't think it's a use it or lose it situation. It is we need to spend 14% to be in compliance. And we have.
Right.
So we've hit that benchmark so far. But obviously we'll want to continue to hit that benchmark.
So I want to comment that I was made aware that in mid-September that Rose, you and the city manager and a board member from the Promise and I believe the president, I'm not sure of his title, were all here at City Hall mid-September promising the promise that we were going to commit $10,000. And so I asked for the emails on that. I'm like, show me what we're talking about. I don't want to just say it without knowing the emails back and forth. So I was shown the follow-up emails and where we went back and said, King's X, we're not going to give you the $10,000. That's where it was permitted. It was promised in mid-September. Then it came back, and for me, it sounded like, and again, I'm not an attorney either, but the promotion of arts, because that promise was a very huge draw for our city in Willow Park, and very excited to have that in there. So I think that was a big issue that I was contacted that was a problem.
Mayor Palmer, I'm not sure who gave you that information, but
Board
that's
member.
incorrect.
Board member. that
So
was here.
I met, not here, but at their offices with myself, a board member, several staff members from the Promise, and former city manager Brian Grimes. We did discuss potentially allocating hot funds to them.
Right.
At the time, I informed the board president that we were working on an application process and I would have to get back to him. Mr. Grimes said, you know what, the $7,500 that you've asked for is not as much as I'd like to give you. I'd like to give you $10,000.
Okay.
And I said, let's look at the application process and we will see.
Okay, so they were confused.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Mayor Palmer, excuse me, that was when Rose came to staff and said after that, even though Mr. Grimes was still here, and said we should have some kind of a policy in place.
Right.
Upon his removal, then we discussed that further and thought, this is a lot of money. We have people to account to say how we're spending this money. And we know that with one request is going to come a lot, okay? So we have to be very careful of how we're using it because it's not unlimited. So we have to make sure that we have a policy in place and some kind of accountability for how we're spending this. So because we have another festival also that has asked for money that we contributed to last year. Although we as staff believe that it's a viable use, we need to involve more people than just Rose deciding as to who gets what and why, whether it's something that she likes or doesn't like, or thinks it's art or thinks that it's not. So that's why this is presented, to try to present again, as we've done with other things now, is to try and clean up ambiguity and to try and create policies and applications so that it's fair and transparent for everyone to see how we're spending this money and how we're allocating it to certain organizations.
And I guess the confusion also lies there. In mid-September, our city manager had been here 8 years with experience here, just here, of 8 years. And so that's why the board member was questioning
Well,
that and came back to me.
I had a long conversation about a month later with the board member and clarified exactly all of that. At no point did I necessarily believe that the promise was disqualified from receiving those funds.
Okay.
But I am not in the business of handing out taxpayer dollars willy-nilly. I need to know that that is a justifiable and allowable expense under the law. And at the time, I didn't have clarification on that.
So I think it's a good plan, looking at some of these things through legal, right? And understanding that, because the scoreboards, I don't know if the scoreboards, I know I saw the Alito ISD, the TCA, the scoreboards there, and like we just talked about, and we were talking the other day, about 760 Fest event, that we had given them $12,500, and that's a one-day event instead of heads and beds. So I think someone through our attorneys can advise going forward about hot tax, and
Use of
so we can be more on steady footing when we
Yes, ma'am.
talk about that.
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
Mayor Palmer, if I may interject, Mr. Chesser, our previous city attorney, did approve whenever those funds for several of those things were dispersed, that they were in alignment with what we could use those for. So we did check with legal at that time, but because of the two requests that we had coming in that could have totaled almost $25,000 just for two events, we thought that perhaps it was time to put the brakes on and start getting some policies in place.
So the 760 he had approved?
Yes.
sir.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I should add too that the scoreboard sponsorships that we have contracted with both of the schools to do is specifically in advertising and signage category, like it's considered advertising, which is one of the approved categories. There specifically was actually a ruling in the Texas legislature related to billboards and said explicitly that billboards are also an allowed signage use. And I know that we've got that coming up here in a little bit. But the Attorney General has signed off on billboards as absolutely being an acceptable expense under this fund. But I have no objection to any of the folks that we've worked with in the past on these funds, and I think we've got some phenomenal applicants on deck as far as some great ways that we can use this money to promote our city and tourism to our city. But I think it's smart for us to have a good policy on it.
Okay. So you'll help us with that?
Sure, of course.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going on to 12, discussion and action, consider renewal of the 2 Lamar billboard contract leases for the City Hall frontage at eastbound and westbound I-20. And we have Carol Bracken, Carol Bracken wanted to comment on this agenda.
Good evening, council members, Mayor Palmer. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I'm Carol Bracken. My husband and I have lived for 29 years at 73 Crown Road. I was here in the council chamber last year when the council approved doing the lease for the 2 billboards right there on I-20. And I was skeptical at the time that sort of signage would end up being fruitful in generating economic activity for the city. My question for this body is, has any data been generated as to any actual economic development that was the result of those billboards? I know those kinds of billboards are very effective for businesses like Whataburger or Dairy Queen or McDonald's, all of which, of course, we have in the city, but I'm unclear as to what kinds of economic activity they actually generate for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mandy? Sorry, go ahead. I think that's it.
Mayor and council, I'm here to talk about the renewal of 2 contracts for the Lamar billboards. Since November of 2023, the City Council has approved the use of the city's hot tax for 1 year of advertising space on the eastbound and westbound side of the Lamar billboard, located on the southeast corner of the City Hall property. The westbound side was approved by the City Council on February 11, 2024. Without renting both sides of the sign, the city would have no control over what advertisements would be sold and displayed. Therefore, renting both sides was voted to be in the best interest of the city. The original purpose of renting the billboards was to use this signage as a monument sign for the city of Willow Park. We have renewed each billboard for a year for $33,111 per side, and it's billed in 13 4-week intervals, so once a month. The fee of $720 is charged each time we change the billboard or the artwork on either side. City staff was asked to see if there were different options available with Lamar rather than doing a 1-year contract. Lamar staff responded that if we wanted to go on a month-to-month basis, we would lose our first right to renew. To hold the right to renew, the lowest contract we could go is 6 months. And if we did not renew before that contract expired, it would be available for sale the day of the contract expires. Lamar billboards in our area are currently sold out and are in very high demand. So there's a high chance that we would lose the right to the billboard on City Hall property. Funds for this expense are currently available in the city's hotel occupancy tax account. Staff recommends authorization to use the pot funds for billboard advertising on the eastbound and westbound Lamar billboard signs referenced above, effective as of this date. Any questions?
How much is in the fund currently?
In the hot tax fund?
It's almost $500,000.
Yes.
$500,000.
Okay.
And we're obligated to spend a certain percentage.
14% for advertising, yes.
If my memory serves me correct, a couple years prior to us taking over the billboard, I believe there was alcohol advertised on that billboard. Is that correct?
Yes, and a Thrive
CBD
company as well in 2020.
And just thinking back, I want to say it might have been 2014 or 2015. I don't know if very many people remember our previous county judge, Judge Riley, did a video in front of a billboard, and I thought it was that one about an adult theme on that billboard and how he didn't want that in Park County. I'm pretty sure that was the same one. So I think the city keeping control over that, making sure we kind of, if we can, try to keep that kind of stuff out, that would be my prerogative.
So I have a question. So if we're spending $66,000 and $200, right?
For 2 contracts, yes.
Right, for those. So what can Lamar tell us? What has really been, what's been the driver as far as what have we, the city of Willow Park, derived off of that large amount of money? Because I've had a lot of people 6 months ago, 7 months ago, all come to me, what are we doing with the billboard? And since then,
So the reason behind it, like I said in my brief, is it's a monument sign for the city. There is no signage that says this is Willow Park except for that billboard and the one exit sign. So that was the original intent for it. More so, and it's on city property, City Hall property. So it's more of a monument sign for the city.
May I jump in on this as well?
yes, if you can tell us what Lamar tells us we're getting off that'd be great.
I love that you're asking the question, what is our return on investment
Yes,
here?
yes.
The objective of the billboard was never a return on investment because it meets the state comptroller's requirement for spending that we must do for advertisement. The goal of the themes on the billboards has been visibility for the city. Is there anyone here who doesn't see those billboards? Exactly. They may be a little silly, certainly, but they get attention. And I can tell you that my 6-year-old granddaughter now knows when she's entering Willow Park. So we have to have very specific language on these billboards too to be considered promoting tourism, which is why you see some of the things where we talk about the golfing or the shopping or the overnight stay. Almost all of them exclusively have had something about stay overnight with us. That is how we have to do them. So it's not a matter of that we can just put whatever we want on the billboard. This is a matter of this is the type of messaging we are required to do. Are they a little bit silly? Absolutely. But people know where Willow Park is, and that's one of the things we were really focusing on with that campaign.
So who provides the ad artwork on that?
Bandy and I work on them together.
Okay, so y'all work on it and kind of choose.
We kind of come up with what we think is the vibe. Mandy's usually the one who originates it, and then she and I workshop it together, and then Lamar's the one that puts the final design together.
And honestly, I go through all of staff.
Yeah.
I get nothing. And honestly, you
Right, yeah.
approved the goat billboard.
Yeah, I got a choice of goat or llama. I didn't want my llamas on there. I did not want that.
Yeah, they were
Because I got so much pushback on that billboard, I didn't want to say I want the llamas. So
It was
A or B.
alpaca your bags and
they were
come to Willow
alpacas.
Park.
I'm sorry?
It was alpaca your bags and come to Willow Park.
Yeah, it was alpha.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I was shown in 2 seconds, you got a goat, you got a llama. I'm sorry, I got a goat and I got a llama in 2 seconds in the front of a meeting, and I did not want llamas on the billboard because I had so many people upset about the billboards.
If I could interject.
That was my
in-
answer.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. If I could interject that also, how many people have said where they live and they said, oh, you live in Alito? I mean, I know everybody multiple times, and you said, no, we do not live in Alito. We live in Willow Park, and it's not a neighborhood, and it's not an HOA, and it's not a country club. It's a city. So the biggest thing that we've done, first off, is one of the things that Rose has worked on is changing part of what we're saying. Instead of just Willow Park, it's now City of Willow Park. And by creating the billboard, I mean, I know that there was quite a controversy over the vibe check with the cat in the Corvette.
Yep, heard a lot of that too.
But did people notice it? Did they talk about it?
Oh, they talked about it.
Then it worked. Did you ever
It's
see
not
the,
a
did you ever see the
positive,
bill?
though.
Did you ever see the billboard that says, "Does a billboard work?" It just did. It was
Yeah.
talked about, and they noticed, and they laughed about it, and they talked about it, and they picked about it.
Okay, well, I'm getting negative. That's what I'm getting, but we
But
might
there
as well
were-
move ahead
yeah.
because everybody's kind of, I think we are where we are.
I would say that's the beauty of advertising too. Like we all get together after the Super Bowl and like, what was your favorite commercial? Oh, that one was awful. I can't believe you loved that one. How could you not love that talking baby ad? That was great, but I hated it. And it's part of the discourse that comes with advertising. It's subjective, and I love the fact that it does have people talking in negative. Maybe to borrow a Jerry Jones thing, there's no such thing as bad publicity. It's, you you love it or hate it.
Yeah,
And
got a lot of
and that's-
hate,
And that's, there's a lot of love.
Could you explain the financial part of that one more time?
Sure. Go with the financial aspects of it.
Because I used to be concerned about that billboard too, but when I heard the financial part explained, zero concern.
The 66,200?
Keep getting hung up on the 66,000.
Yeah.
Well-
There's a percentage of money that we have to spend somewhere, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
You just pointed out that we spend it to keep people from putting crappy things on our billboard in front of our city. What more explanation do we need?
And I think that's what the attorneys will help us with.
Well, keep.
That's not, it's not an exclusionary test, it's a mandatory two-part test.
Right.
And I will say too, that Mandy is very intentional of keeping it trendy and light and fun. And so in the packet, we had her put in there of what she was looking at for the next billboard. And so that you can see it. And it says, all roads lead to Willow Park. And it's got the green, instead of the golden yellow brick road, it's green, which has a Willow Park Tower in the back. So it's advertising for us, saying City of Willow Park, right there, huge billboard in your face, driving by. There's also the information that the company gave us, that Lamar gave us, as to how many people are seeing that. That one more than the one next door to it, but if you looked at the bottom of it, it's stating that there's 392,620 cars, I think that go past that. $3,093.959 of weekly impression, dollars, you know what I'm talking about, that go past that for weekly impressions for that goat board that's right now. So almost
Right.
400,000 cars a week see that billboard. The one on the other side is almost 230,000 cars that see that per week.
That's the
huge.
traffic that goes by.
Yes, ma'am.
That's traffic,
huge.
right, okay.
I mean, that's more advertising we could do if we had fireworks hanging on top of the
So do we want to do roads when roads are such a hot topic and an issue right
That was
now?
brought up when I.
Yeah,
brought
they
that
would
up.
put potholes in it as a,
Well,
not
also-
good.
I was,
Yeah, but it's
well,
also-
you're saying Rose, I'm going more because Wicked is
Wicked,
the big thing
yeah.
right now.
I
And
see where you're going,
Yes.
but roads is what
you can
citizens.
see the positive, you can see the negative, but either way. This was just, again, just an idea that I came up with.
Is the question that we could use hot tax funds to repair potholes? Is that the question?
It's
No,
just
it's
the
the
weather.
advertisement of a roads on the top
No,
that
city
is a
staff
hot
made sure to
topic
bring that up.
right
But
now.
It was just an idea and we developed it and went with it and.
Again,
That's
it's
where we are.
wicked, it's trendy.
Yeah, wicked,
That's what's
it's up
going
right
on right
now.
now. That's what draws attention.
Taylor Swift doesn't have any good things for me to do right now.
And just to clarify one more time on the financial piece, if you're a citizen of Willow Park, this is not a tax dollar of yours that is coming out. If you decided to stay the night at one of the 2 hotels in our city limits and you paid for your room and you paid a tax, that money is then gathered from there. So this only applies if you are frequenting hotels in Willow Park city limits.
That's where the money comes
25
from.
cents ago, you're trying to donate is from city funds, right?
Yes.
To the promise,
Yeah,
Oh.
she's calling out you spending this money, but 5 minutes ago, she was wanting to spend $12.
We're talking,
hot
no,
tax as
we're
well.
talking
That's hot tax
hot
as well. I
tax as
apologize.
well.
Those are all
I'm
as
not
well.
going anywhere else.
Yeah.
So to clarify, this is all hot tax.
and that would be one of those that we'd have to consider, does it fall under those other, this is not, obviously, that one's not signage, that would be, is it heads in beds? Does it create a purpose for them to come and to stay? And then does it meet potentially one of the other requirements such as art or historical restoration? Obviously, the promise would be more, obviously, potentially a heads in beds, and then a tourist dive trap potentially with some of the other, I have to look at some of the other allowable causes again, but that was the question in turn there. And then with any other organization that would seek those funds, we'd need looking to establish a process, which was on the previous item.
Any more discussion on that? Questions before we move on?
Sure.
Are we doing
Yeah.
out there again? I guess
Do you
we
wanna-
are.
Huh, yeah.
They want
Okay,
to step
time
up to
it.
the
Yeah.
podium.
You step up to the podium, please, yes?
Libby Afterback, Willow Park, Big Creek Road, another one of those places you never heard of. But I've been driving by the goat wondering about it too, and I'm of the generation which is like, I don't get this stuff. But now that I have the explanation, it's helpful. So if you didn't want the cutesy, jazzy things that half the generations are going to get and the other half are going to go, this is weird, could you just make the billboard a welcome to Willow Park, stay here, great restaurants, whatever, a real normal Willow Park, something that was, if you had your signage, your, what do you call those entrance signs, but you're using this for one of those lovely, I forgot what you call them. Monument, yeah, we don't have a monument, so we're using that as a monument. They would never put a goat on a monument. But if you just toned it down and made it just that kind of thing, could you not use the money because it doesn't?
Would you notice it?
I would, well, I don't know. I see the goat. I do know the
That's
goat.
what it's all about,
But-
yes.
But I mean, does it have to be something that makes it?
It's loud on purpose.
Not
Yeah.
loud, no, I'm talking about come to Willow Park. If you had a monument, it wouldn't say, you have to come to Willow Park and eat in our restaurants. It would just probably be a lovely, brick thing with plantings that would say you're now entering Willow Park.
I think the difference is that we can't use hot funds on a monument sign. So if it was
No, I know, but if you made the billboard, read like a monument.
Yes.
And be very, say it is the word, would that not qualify you to spend the money?
we have to put something in there about encouraging shopping, what we have to
Okay,
offer.
that's
So
the
that's the
question. It
economic
has to-
development spin.
okay, it has
Yes.
to market
We're
that in some
drawing
way.
people to us. So
Okay,
just
that
saying
was
who
my
we
question.
are, yeah, just
That
saying who we are
wouldn't- In other words, that wouldn't qualify.
doesn't check the box.
Okay, that's my
Yes, ma'am.
question.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
more discussion before we move on? No? Okay, is there a motion to pay for the billboards?
I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the authorization of the use of hotel occupancy tax funds for billboard advertising as presented.
Second? Okay.
Second.
All in favor? There you go. Okay, moving on. 13, discussion only regarding a policy and a sponsorship request application for the community, fundraising, donation, contributions, etc. On this one, I was contacted directly by the TCA headmaster about the dinner sponsorship being in jeopardy. This school supported our tree lighting. So if you were here at the tree lighting, which I was, TCA sent the band over. That was lovely. They had the singers. It was cold, but it was lovely. So this item was originally written to discuss sponsoring $2,000 for a table at Trinity Christian Academy Legacy Dinner event. Never heard of that before, but I'm learning, which the city has done for the last 3 years. When I questioned the sponsorship, because I was contacted directly, Tony informed me that the sponsorship funds had been reallocated during the budget process to city events, and that was in an email. And I requested copies of the approved budget documents showing this reallocation, but have not received anything, at least unless I miss it at this time. What I'm aware of is that funds have been budgeted every year for special events under 2 general fund department allocations. Those total $35,000 this year. Last year was $75,000. I requested to see the expenses for these special event accounts, and I'm still waiting on all those credit card charges. I started getting some from one of our banks, but not from the second bank yet, trying to figure out, place the pieces there to be able to figure out where we were. The council needs to be aware that a unilateral decision was made after the budget had been approved, and I'm concerned that the patterns set by our city to sponsor certain events, in light of this new direction being taken by interim administration, will make us look bad and could alienate from the community partners, which is what was happening when I was contacted several times by the headmaster at TCA. I kind of had to go back and try to figure out what was going on, and went back and looking at emails to figure out where we were to answer Craig Smith, the headmaster that kept contacting me on it. And that's when I asked, how many years have we been doing this, and why all of a sudden we're not going to do this? It makes us look really bad as far as the city that we're not going to sponsor it anymore. So that's kind of what was going on there, and that's why this came up as far as where we are and the policy and sponsorship. To this moment in time, I think, Tony, you were saying we're waiting to put an application and a policy and kind of figure that all out, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to do
Yes,
that?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So we can answer those questions. It doesn't leave me hanging out there.
Right.
That would be lovely. But at this point in time, from our discussion with the attorneys, we are going to do the 4th year and follow through with TCA and the headmaster, right?
If I can step in front of Rose for a second, and we can talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we had discussed, obviously, I had received misinformation as to the accounts. So I was told that those accounts were dispersed because that was what we believed had happened. In fact, it had not. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs. It doesn't matter. What was passed on the agenda was that the money is still there. And that was the conversation we had had just last Tuesday when I found out from our CPA, who was here through the budgeting process when the other interim city manager and I were not involved in that. We have now discovered, in fact, that $25,000 is there, and that's what this is for. So whenever the council approved for the $5,000 to advocates, that money was taken out of this account. So that was when we had discussed that $25,000
is in that account, it is for such reasons as this. And in fact, the TCA, as well as the other things that we've sponsored, can come out of this account. So as far as researching where that has come before, we're in the process of doing that, and we're pulling out statements that are already archived with our credit card statements. So I apologize, that's taking us some time to get that information, but it is being provided to you as we're getting it. Our staff is receiving it. But the misunderstanding of that was that these accounts were dispersed. In fact, they were not. This account is what was, there were other accounts, yes, and that's what you're seeing in the packet. So we will get to the bottom of where all of this is and where all of this came from, but in a week's time, with having all of this, that isn't possible in order to get that information whenever our CPA is only here once a week. So we will be getting that, and we'll be happy to report that back to you in council to find out where all that money was, who was paid when and for what, and how many years that has happened. But in the interim, as we had discussed, TCA, as well as other things that are coming through that are perceived to be things that we had done previously, that we have that money in that account for those reasons. Now, assuming that it's not absorbent, like the $5,000 was exceptional for advocates, that came through because, again, we didn't know that that money was there and how it was going to allocate. And even when that was passed, we didn't know where that money was coming from.
Right.
So now that we know that and we're getting our legs under us as far as, where this is and what it's for, that was why we had said, in fact, that yes, absolutely, for TCA and others that are coming in, we just need, again, a process for clarity and moving forward, that we have an application and that we have some kind of a policy to say that these people are coming in, this is what they want, this is why they're asking, and that it meets the criteria for us to allocate those funds for them. And so more the same, much like we just did for the HOT funds, the same thing. We need to be transparent and we need to be accountable as to where these funds are going and to whom and why. And so if we're ever questioned, much like now when we're trying to backtrack this, we don't know of the intent record of that. We weren't involved in that. That's not an excuse. It's simply saying that we need time to investigate it to find out where that was and who was sponsored because of it. And make sure that those items moving forward are legal.
Right,
So-
and I think that's part of it too, that, going back and looking, okay, where were we? Well, Parker County Chamber.
Yes.
I go back and look at the pictures, okay, Parker County Chamber, we were there.
Yes.
We don't want to go now, okay, now we have, a new mayor in, we're just going to cut the legs out of everybody. That's not the look we want.
Absolutely not.
Yep. So all of a sudden, we're having to have some procedures that, where were we doing this for the 10
Correct.
years?
Correct.
I don't understand. Why were you not?
I can't answer that. I apologize, I was not involved in that. But moving forward, we can certainly set something forward moving forward to find out how we're doing this and why. So we can be intentional with these funds and we can tell our community partners, yes, we do want to support you. And if it is legal for us to do so, this is how we will do it. And so that's why we're asking to implement this now, so that moving forward, we are transparent and we do know where all this is. These questions next year will not happen because we'll already know this. The other thing is that was addressed by one of our council members is that also we have some kind of a calendar moving forward that we know where this money came from in subsequent years, so we can anticipate how much we're actually going to be asked for because, we need to be fair for people coming through. So do we have 15 people that we've given money before for other community partnerships for their fundraising? Or is it been 5 people? Because if it's 5, do we have enough money in there, allocated in there?
That's part of what I was asking. What have we been doing?
Yes, ma'am.
And knowing there's no,
We need to find those questions.
yes, the answers, yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, ma'am. The other thing I wanted to tell you too is that a lot of, and also for those who don't know, is that a lot of that is by credit card. And the reason being, and we had that, well, I don't know that you saw your email, but I communicated back with you earlier today. So we need an invoice from that organization, not just an email. We have to have an invoice because we have to account to our auditors that it was a legitimate expense.
Right.
So once we get that, then we can process that. Oftentimes, it gets buried in emails, and then you get a phone call that we need to have this today. We can't cut a check today. We can't get a check to you today, but we can put it on a credit card. And so that's where the credit card statements is why we're having to pull credit cards, the banks to pull the credit card statements to find out this is where this was allocated, because PDQ, we need it right now because we're already behind because you didn't answer us 3 weeks ago when we asked for it. Now we need to give it to you now or we're going to lose that sponsorship. So that's.
So do we have receipts on like the credit card? So here's the credit card, here's what we did with it?
I don't know how, I'm going to speak on the term because I don't know how it's listed on the statements, but we can track that back to the organizations that we paid.
Like our regular credit card, if I
Correct.
charge it
Correct.
some store, it shows that.
Correct. So you can always contact that store to say, hey, can you research this? They're going to have more accurate records because they're a nonprofit typically. Can you research this and find out what amount we would have paid this for on this date to find out if that was paid to you? So what was that for? Can you duplicate an invoice or tell me if that was for sponsorship? Was it for a dinner? Was it for an auction? What is it that you were doing with it? So we just need more time to investigate that because it's digging back into years of documents. Well, So-
And chances are in the records, when we turn in our credit card statements every month, we are required to provide a receipt for every single charge on that credit card. So for example, if I put a $500 charge to TCA on my credit card, I would be required to provide documentation with my credit card statement of what that $500 is for.
And that's what I noticed, the
So we can-
different, everybody that has a credit card, I noticed the different numbers and the names on it.
Yes, ma'am.
So I
And
did.
So we are,
I
the
did see that.
documentation does exist. It just, especially if it's a few years ago, it takes a little while to research.
Okay.
Sorry, Tony.
No, you're good.
So are we okay over here? I'm sorry, y'all are making me nervous. Are we good? Don't need to stop. Okay, y'all huddling like that, don't make me nervous. Okay.
So the account numbers that we have whenever we fill out the check request, whenever staff fills out the check request for that, you have to, you as in staff, or anyone who's submitting that, has to provide, we have to allocate where that's going. We have to allocate an account number. You just can't say, I'm spending $5,000, I don't know where it's going and I don't care, I'm just spending $5,000. That has to be allocated to a line item within our budget. That is also checked, not only is that submitted by the requester for payment of credit cards whenever we're reconciling our own credit card statements, but also that is also signed off on by the finance and the director of that division, department.
Okay.
So there are 2 signatures on that for being city manager or the finance director who is actually signing off on those. So that's being double checked twice. After the staff member submits that check request also gets checked twice before that check is cut.
Okay.
So that's our checks and balances to make sure that that's getting done correctly.
Thank you. And I
You're
asked
welcome.
that for the citizens so they understand.
Correct. Yes,
What's
ma'am.
happening as well
Yes,
as
ma'am.
I'm trying to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So item 14, discussion
Well,
action.
we still have a couple more things.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was cutting you off.
I'm
Go
so
ahead.
sorry. Just to clarify real quick, and obviously I'm not Jake, so I'm not going to be able to probably be as in detail as he can. There are 3 different line items in our budget for special events. One is under administration, which is the fund that I have for special events and that now Mandy is collaborating on. And then there's one under city services that is basically just kind of a catch-all. Legislative is the fund that specifically applies to council spending. The legislative fund is what we use for if you guys need business cards. We use it for if you guys travel to TML to take a class. So the fund in question at the moment is the legislative special events fund. It's very important that we make that distinction because they're different buckets, right? And so the bucket that we're discussing tonight is the legislative special events bucket. That is the bucket that has been used in the past to pay for things like the TCA dinner and some of the other various sponsorships and donations that we have made. Tony asked me to research how other cities do this because this was another one where I said, well, we don't have a policy. And again, I love a policy, right? So I did a little research with, frequently in other cities, this particular type of spending falls under the Communications and Marketing Department and Community Engagement Department. So I did a little research and called some of my peers in some other cities and asked them, do you have a policy for this? Universally, I was told no, because they don't spend money on these things. I am advising that we need to have a really long, in-depth conversation with legal
about these dollars and this fund. The only city that I got any type of, these are acceptable expenditures under the public purpose, and Andy, if I get out over my skis, stop me. The city of Keller, I have 3 examples from them. They give money to Meals on Wheels because they manage the meals at the senior center that is funded by the city. They give money to the Keller Farmers Market because it attracts out-of-town visitors and is considered an economic development purpose. And they would buy a table at, for example, the County Transportation Summit because that would allow staff to attend and discuss county transportation projects, help them work on getting spending allocated to their area, those sorts of things. Public purpose is very strictly defined under Texas law. And in order for it to be considered a public purpose, based on what I've researched, is that expenditure must serve a clear municipal public purpose. The primary benefit accrues to city residents. The services are one the city could lawfully provide itself, and the public benefit is measurable. So, going forward, and again, this is something we've got to get legal to weigh in on this. And then that's about as far as I'm going to go with it because I think I'm about at the extent of my legal knowledge. A service contract, anytime that we make some sort of contribution to a nonprofit or a community organization, we have to get something in return. So if we, for example, bought a table at the Alito Education Foundation Gala, we would have to have a service contract that says we're giving you X amount of dollars in advertising, et cetera, so that we can show a direct benefit to the city from it. He gets into the weeds a lot more than that, and I'm not going to get into the weeds and lead you guys in a wrong direction. But I will tell you that I think this requires a heck of a lot more thought than we've been putting into it in the past. This is the first time I've really dug into it and checked with other cities and said, hey, what are you guys doing? And universally, I was told, well, we don't. Our attorneys say that we probably shouldn't do that. So on that note, my suggestion to you guys is going to be very similar to what we talked about with HOT, that we get with legal and that we develop an ordinance and a policy about this to make sure that we're doing everything by the book. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have if I can answer them.
Maybe a question more for Andy, but you talked about the measurables, I guess that could be in, advertising dollars, as you mentioned, potentially like at a...
Potentially, yes, sir.
Is there any other good examples you could give us of ways we could get certain measurables? Or I know that I think like if we wanted to go a different route, like kind donation, if we wanted to offer, one of our city facilities or something to host events, we could do things along those natures. Is that correct? That doesn't go along the lines of legal, of financial dollars that would be given.
Donations and monetary donations fall under 2 different sets of rules, is my understanding from talking to other cities.
Okay, just thinking as potentially for...
City of Weatherford does in-kind donations like that. Like they'll loan out one of their parks to organizations, and that's considered an in-kind donation. And then they get sponsorship credit with having their logo on the advertisements and stuff for that. So I'm not sure if they still do it. That was how they were doing it as of a couple of years ago. Because I actually asked one time, I was like, so if we loan out our park, can we get our logo on something? They were like, when you get to parks, go for it. So my wheels started turning. But my understanding, and again, Andy, correct me if I'm going down the wrong path here, is that those are 2 different.
Right.
It's apples and oranges.
Right, agreed. I was just thinking as far as we set this up for future donations and such, to have that in mind, to consider anything that the city could provide that's not potentially writing a check or charging a credit card, but offering some of the things that we have, like you said, a park would be
And I think there are all kinds of potential, particularly as we grow, and we have so many worthy and wonderful organizations in Willow Park that I certainly don't want to close the door on us supporting them by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a huge fan of a lot of these organizations, and I want to see us do what we can to be really good partners with our community organizations and our nonprofits and our schools. I'm waving a caution flag here because the more I dug on this, the more I went, I feel like we need to maybe look at this a little deeper.
Okay, understood.
Perhaps in our application that we also, much like the HOT funds that we were discussing, is that we leave it up to the person who's asking for those donation dollars to allocate how, in fact, bullet points, measuring what we're going to, quote unquote, get out of it.
Yeah, and so that's why the service contract is so important.
Yes, just to leave the burden of proof to them, to say, instead of us just writing a check to them, we need to make them prove what the measurable amount is that we're getting.
Right.
So, again, the purpose of the policy and the application is to try to make things easier, more transparent, and legal, to be honest.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay, item 14, moving on. Thank you, Rose. Discussion and action to consider an ordinance of the City of Willow Park, Texas, providing for an amendment to an existing PD zoning ordinance 830-21, allowing for certain commercial uses within the planned development with a special use permit provision for 12.49 acres situated in the David Addington Survey, abstract number 468, and McKinney and Williams Survey, abstract number 21, City of Willow Park, Texas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for a severability, and providing for an effective date. We have Chelsea standing there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Last but not least. This is Glamper Camper. City staff were contacted regarding a proposed amendment to the existing plan development agreement. The requester seeks to modify the existing PD to allow for storage uses that were not originally outlined in the PD and potential specific use permits for maximum usage of the storage facility. This item was presented to Planning and Zoning on December 16th, 2025, and was passed with unanimous vote of 4-0. Staff recommends its approval. The owner is also here if you have any questions.
I have a question. When do you anticipate that the council will need to approve a special use permit under this new?
We don't have
ordinance?
any applications
No date?
at this time. No.
Nothing? Okay, got it.
It was really just basically outlining some storage uses that weren't in the original PD.
What were some of the storage uses for the public to know?
Well, so this one specified for RV, boats, and correct me if I'm wrong. You're doing great. Okay, good. Like,
Was that the
you know,
long list
toys.
I saw? on
See
there?
what?
It was a long list, right?
A long list?
Yes? No?
Recreational vehicles.
Recreational vehicles.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Why not?
What is your name? I'm sorry.
Jamie Mitchell.
Hi, Jamie Mitchell. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yep, so it's just a conversation to be left open. The previous already pre-approved were storage, boat, RV, high-end. Now, what we looked at is if in the potential, we wanted to switch that to an industrial site, let's say, we would want to have the conversation. And all this is a request to maybe in the future have that conversation to be approved of at that point in time. We're not asking for any further permissions today. It's just saying, if this comes down the pipe, can we talk about it?
Okay. So we'll if we get down that road, we'll do new ordinance numbers and all that down the road.
well, it'll be a special use permit, and so by doing so, it'll specify in it specific use, special use, as to what the property owner is suggesting that it's used for. In addition, that will have to comply with building and fire code for whatever that use is for occupancy. So that would have to be contingent upon the acceptance of the special use permit.
So
And
we're-
that goes to planning and zoning, and then it comes to council.
So we're just discussing this. We're not doing an action right now?
You're approving to change the plan development document, which is zoning, because that is the zoning for this parcel.
Okay.
And so it's just stating that you can use the storage for other expanded uses for storage. It's not just specific to recreational vehicles. It's expanded to other storage as far as like larger items that can go in there if it's sheetrock or something like that. So it's not just a recreational vehicle, but it also businesses can't operate out of there as far as like a business front or something. If something like that were to come through that's other than a storage use, then Mr. Mitchell would need to provide a special use permit to the Planning and Development Department, which would be processed and go to specific to what they want to do with it. That would go to Planning and Zoning Commission for recommendation, and then it would come to council for approval. And with it, all of that would be also public hearings are included in all of that as well.
And then the next step after that would be certificate of occupancy.
Correct. So each of those SUPs would need to be verified to make sure that it came through as a tenant remodel for that unit or for that building. And that would have to comply, like I said, with fire and building code. And then a certificate of occupancy would be issued by the Planning and Development Department of the city.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, do we have a motion?
I have a question for Andy on this one. Do we need to make a motion regarding stating the ordinance, or can we just say it as it's in the packet, which is a motion to approve the amended plan development as presented?
Generically is fine.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the amended plan development as presented.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Everybody. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, now we are moving on to executive session items. In accordance with the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D, the City Council will recess an executive session to discuss the following. Item 15, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, in 120 El Chico Trail lease agreements, item 16, section 551.071, consultation with city attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation, Belledine Ranch Development and East Bankhead Highway claims of Alito Fort Worth against Willow Park. Item 17, section 551.071, consultation with city attorney, section 551.87, economic development negotiations, proposed residential development, currently known as Clarion, consisting of approximate 82.37 acres situated in the McGarver Survey, abstract 910, the West Franklin Survey, abstract number 468, the N.M. Edwards Survey, abstract 1955, and the J.B. Wynn Survey, abstract 1637, a portion being within the extraterritorial, say that right, jurisdiction and remainder within the city limits of the city of Willow Park, Parker County, Texas. Item 18, section 551.074, personnel matters, review of the city manager resumes and selection of 5 applicants. For interviewing, item 19, section 551.074, personnel matters, interim city manager performance, Tony Fisher. The time is now.
Ma'am?
8:57.
Before we recess, please, if number 19 is to be addressed, I would like it in open session, please.
I don't think that's going to happen, is it? Do you want?
Yeah, so if an employee asks for it before we go into executive session, then it has to be an open session.
Okay, so do you want us to come back on 19? Is that the way you want to do it?
Yeah, I guess that's what we would do.
Okay, so it's 8:57. We're going into closed session now. We'll come back out. Thank you. Okay, 9:45. We are back in open session. We're reconvening in open session. According with the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, the City Council will reconvene into regular session to consider action, if any, on matters discussed in executive session. So, does this council have any motions?
I don't think we needed any.
No motions? Okay, so we're not going there. All right, so now we're going to reverse back to 19, and here we're still in open session. So we're going to do personnel matters. Interim City Manager Tony Fisher, she requested to have this in open session. And so basically some things that I would like to discuss is in my theme of the Happy New Year, let's go forward in a better position and better relationships going forward. I would like to talk about Tony failing to return my phone calls, emails, text up to 3 days in some matters that I've requested. Some things I still haven't gotten any answers for that are just kind of hanging out there.
Mayor Palmer, I have a point of information. On the agenda item, it says mid-year for interim city manager Tony Fisher. We've only had 3 months, and then also we have 2 interim city managers. So my question, and looking for information from you, is why are we only having 1 and not both?
For personnel matters, I put Tony Fisher on the agenda because I'm having issues with Tony Fisher.
But it's the mid-year review, correct?
I didn't call it a mid-year review. I don't think it says that on there.
Oh, performance review, I'm sorry. Performance review.
Right. And I just want to have a better relationship going forward, and I think if you don't address where we are and what's happening, that's why I put it on the agenda, and we are, in an open session to discuss that. The tone of the emails and some of our phone calls have been disrespectful. And the issue also that was written up about the budget officer, and then I put back in an email that I was told by our attorney, Pat Chesser, that I was the budget officer.
Excuse me, I didn't send that email.
Right. That one is not yours, sorry. But when Tony debates me on matters, I'm requesting clarification. It's extremely unhelpful and unprofessional. So I am very professional when I speak to anyone at staff here. When I speak to staff, when I send emails, when I make a request, I don't see any reason why, I have all the emails here, why I would not get responses.
Would you read that email out loud, please?
Which emails do you want?
Perhaps the one that was requesting why I was sending people door to door. Do you have that one?
Parliamentary inquiry, is this appropriate for open session?
Well, I did not have it in open session. She wants it in open session.
Right, so under TOMA, this section, when personnel is listed and there's a specific position that's listed to be discussed, it's in executive session, it's confidential. If the employee wants it in public, they have a right to it in public if they make that request before we go into executive session. She did, so it's up to her. It's up to the interim city manager to have it in public. If she doesn't want it in public, we can go back and open executive session. So.
Another parliamentary inquiry, are these types of agenda items able to be tabled?
Sure.
Okay. I'll make a motion to table
anything
this
can be tabled.
Agenda item.
Unless it's got a statutory time frame on it.
I think considering that we're looking to hire a city manager, it's inappropriate right now.
There's a
That is the point, is it not? That
Then why
these
am I
are
being interviewed in
issues-
open session? Why am I being interviewed right now?
Sorry?
Or even if it was closed session?
There's a motion.
I'll second.
There is.
Okay, so we're going to be in closed, we're going to be in open, and now we're going to table it and not address it. Is that where we're going?
That's what's on the floor.
I had some, I guess, it was just unclear. I think everyone thought it was going to be a mid-year performance review, and that may be just a poor assumption on our parts based on the way it was written. And obviously, Tony has the ability to bring it into open session, and I think there's merit to that if they want to get into that. But I would question the timing on this, and then also if we're going to go through it, I wouldn't mind tabling it as well until we have a full council as well, so that we could, with Scott's absence, so that we could get feedback from everybody on this.
Can we have the mayor send us what she has? I mean, can she send it to the council prior to this meeting again?
She can give it to you tonight. I have copies made tonight because we're in a meeting. Otherwise, I wouldn't
Is that
recommend
okay? Can I get a copy? Okay.
It's up, it would be, it'd be up to y'all to make the request and up to her to respond.
Yeah, I think we're bouncing all around. I'm not comfortable bouncing all around tonight. If we're going to table it, then we don't want to discuss what's happening. Let's don't discuss what's happening in this session. If that's what we don't want to do, let's don't address it. I'm putting it out there because I want to be transparent on what's happening, what could affect where we are. But if the council doesn't want to do that, then let's table it and move on to the next item.
Call a vote.
Mayor, I need a vote, please.
Okay, motion to table it.
I have a motion and a second.
Motion, yes?
Have the motion,
Okay.
second.
Yeah, so we need a vote.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, we're good. Okay, so now we are going on to, we don't have anything to go there. So we're going on to 21 next. Okay, city manager, interim city manager comments. We're back on with that, okay?
Mayor Palmer and City Council staff just wants to send our sincere thank you to Eric Contreras, who turned out to be our anonymous donor for our purchase of the entree for our employee Christmas potluck luncheon. So all of our employees got together and brought something, and Mr. Chandler, Michael Chandler, who is a resident of ours, and he's also a P&Z commissioner and other boards and commissions, and he wanted to donate his time and his cooking experience and expertise to smoke meat for us. And Michelle and I were going to pay for that for the staff so that we could have a Christmas celebration together with our staff. And he donated that for us, and it was fabulous. And resident Chris Bryant also brought buttermilk pies that he donated to us as well for our luncheon. So it was incredible, and we just want to tell Mr. Chandler and Mr. Bryant and Councilmember Contreras that we greatly appreciated your exceptional kindness and generosity in supporting the staff for Christmas. Thank you.
Okay, so 22, mayor comments, none provided. Number 23, future agenda items requested by the mayor, city council, or staff. So the mayor requested. I would like to see updated the comprehensive plan. I would like to see the updated employee handbook with job descriptions, roles, and responsibilities. The last time I asked for employee handbook, it's been, I believe, 10 years since an employee handbook has been provided. So without having any job descriptions and people being hired without that, with any employee handbook, which should be a reference back and forth, I'm just requesting that for a future agenda item.
One that we had earlier as well, just to request, would be the hot funds ordinance for a future agenda item as well, so that we have a set policy going forward. I know it was discussed, but want to make sure that it's listed as one of ours for upcoming council meetings, please.
Okay, Dina, you can put that on there? Okay, and to adjourn, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Happy New Year.